Good evening, folks, and welcome to the regular Select Board meeting of August 16th, 2022. If you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, we'll start this evening's meeting. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and welcome. The orders are being circulated, and we'll get around here. First order of business would be the approval of the minutes.
August 2nd, is that it?
Yeah, of August 2nd. You have in front of you, are there any additions, corrections, or deletions to the minutes of August 2nd?
Move we approve.
Motion
Second.
made to approve and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Joe? Not on yet. Hearing none. Minutes are approved. I'll circulate these for signature. Now he's on. Welcome, Joe. Did I hear an aye from you on the minutes, Joe?
You did not, but I will say aye because I did see him.
Yes. Do any board members have any announcements?
Oh, I'm sorry, just a reminder, townwide celebration is August 27th, which is the Saturday beyond this coming Saturday. Lots of stuff going on at Northwood. Hope you can all join us.
Oh, there's so many things going on. The committee's done a fantastic job, and
Yes,
they're,
they have.
and they're still working at it. So.
Oh, yeah. And Mike Rowe
Oh, you haven't?
and Chief Dumas with the speed cart challenge.
Yep. Yep. I was hoping we'd do motorcycles, Ed. I was going to come up with mine, and
Oh, dear God.
Only if you don't engage the motor, you may.
Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I have a brief announcement. We had a wonderful seniors meeting today at Denny's. 22 people. So we had a couple of new attendees, and the seniors group is expanding, and Randy hopes that it will expand even greater. And as a matter of fact, he's looking to expand the budget because of our expanded membership. So hopefully that will happen this year. I'd like to get these signed.
Yeah, bring them over to the clerks to get them yet. Kurt, did you get these?
Kurt got them, so. Yep.
So then,
Next on the agenda, we reserve this section of the meeting to give an opportunity to anybody either virtually or here at the meeting who is not on the agenda, included on the formal agenda, that wishes to address the board, they may. And yes,
Yes. we would
Mr.
like to-
Carringer?
Mr. Carringer. that's
Yes, and Mrs. Carringer. Well, yeah,
Yes.
and Ellie. If you wish to address the board, you're welcome to come to the testimony table. So you can be recorded for posterity
correct. Okay,
and welcome.
thank you. So I would like to read.
You're new residents in the town,
Correct.
right?
Yeah, now I'll discuss that.
So
Mhm.
this is Sharon Garofano Russell.
Hi.
It's a board member. I'm Don Chaffee, chairman of the board. This is Mary Ashcroft, board member, and Kurt Hathaway.
Hello.
And Joe DiNardo is
Joe Donato's
participating
virtual.
via Zoom.
So I prepared a statement that I'd like to read. I understand that there's a highway commission meeting tomorrow morning.
Yes.
And so there will be more information, I'm sure, that comes out of that meeting. But we did want to take this opportunity to make a statement for the public record.
You're welcome to that.
Great, thank you. My wife Allie has some photos that she would like to share with you as I read through this.
I did see it.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, I saw those. I didn't see those, but I saw it in the flesh.
Before pictures. But you can continue on the.
Okay.
ones like-
Good evening, members of the Select Board. We would like to introduce ourselves as new residents of Rutland Town, having just purchased and moved into the property at 1128 Townline Road on June 16th. Our names are Jacob Carringer and Allie Wenzel, and we would like to start off by thanking you for your time, your consideration of our concerns, and for your public service. With more than 30 years of combined public service between the two of us, we recognize the challenges that you face in your positions and appreciate the work that you do. Our concerns have to do with the culvert replacement project that is currently taking place where Townline Road crosses Moon Brook in the northeastern portion of our property. The title search provided at the time that we purchased the property did not report an easement for the town to perform work on our property. And the soon to occur culvert project was not disclosed to us prior to or at the time of closing. The first that we learned of the culvert project was the week after moving into our house, when several mature trees were cut down across the road from our property, followed by a more than 50-year-old pine tree in our front yard. We asked the crew what was going on and were referred to Ron Fabian, who provided us a copy of the project plans. Those plans showed the location of our front property line relative to the town right-of-way and made us aware that grading work would be taking place on our property beyond the right-of-way. Those plans also showed a clearing area on our property, also beyond the right-of-way, with one tree marked as TBR, meaning to be removed, which we inferred to be the pine tree that had already been cut down. We also noted that our home's water supply, a spring on the bank above Moon Brook, was located within the clearing area, but assumed that the other mature trees around the spring would remain in place to stabilize the slope since they were not shown to be removed on the plans. We had no further knowledge of the project until August 8th, when excavation work began in our front yard. Since that time, the excavation work has encroached well beyond the right-of-way onto our property, coming within 25 feet of the northeast corner of our home, within 10 feet of our underground water supply line, which was not even shown on the plans, and within 5 feet of our spring. As such, we have concerns about both the short and the long-term effects that the excavation work may have on our home's water supply and its foundation. Additionally, on August 9th, multiple mature trees were removed from our property beyond the right-of-way, even though they were not shown to be removed on the plans. When we spoke with the crew about this, we were given the impression that no further trees would be cut. First thing in the morning on August 10th, another mature tree was cut down, and being rightfully upset, we asked the crew for a record of an easement to perform work on our property, which they were not able to produce. We then spoke with project engineer Jeff Mangini and asked him for an easement record, which he was also not able to produce, and he referred us to speak with Bill Sweet at the town of Rutland. During the same conversation, we asked Jeff how our property would be restored including the replacement of the multiple mature trees that were removed and stabilization of the slope between our water supply and Moon Brook, but have not yet been given a satisfactory answer. On August 10th, we asked the town of Rutland for an easement record, which has not yet been produced. We also performed our own research here at the town archives and have not been able to locate such a record. We have serious concerns about the work continuing to take place on and causing damage to our property well beyond the right of way. Without our consent, without any evidence of consent from the previous property owners, and without any specific assurances of how our property will be restored over the short term and the long term to our satisfaction. In the meantime, construction fencing has not been placed around the remaining mature trees between Moon Brook and our water supply, with their roots now having been exposed and compacted by the ongoing excavation work. We now expect that those trees would not survive and will also be removed, which will result in the loss of approximately 6 to 7 mature trees from the front of our property, which used to provide screening between our house and Town Line Road. In closing, we would like to share with you some photos of our property that were taken the first week we had moved in, as compared to photos taken yesterday, which represent the current condition of our property. We believe that these photos will validate our concerns, and you will see that the property that we purchased in June and paid taxes for to the town of Rutland is not the property that exists today. Thank you for your consideration, and we look forward to your response.
Thank you very much. I'll open it up to board members if you have any questions or comments that you'd like to ask.
It's going to take some us looking into it more, and I'm assuming you folks are going to be doing as well. So let's keep the dialogue going.
Definitely.
I understand the highway committee, and thank you for, coming in and letting us know about this. The highway committee is meeting tomorrow morning up by your property, and assuming, because I'm not on the committee, so.
It's 9 o'clock.
Okay. And there, maybe we can get some more information. I dug out what little information we had in our road book and I shared it with our town road commissioners. So that's a little more something.
Okay, great.
So let's keep the dialogue going. Thank you.
Definitely. No, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Yes.
Sharon?
No, just, it saddens me that you moved in and 4 weeks later, that's what you were facing. I'm really saddened that the people that sold you the house were not honest with you about it. And that's where I find fault, but.
For my part, it was a pleasure meeting you the other day and albeit besides this particular event, welcome to the town, and we're happy to have you here. And as you know, the road commissioner will give a report, and I think due to the exigency of the situation and you giving your statement, that I would have the road commissioner, with the board's permission, give his report first. We'll go out of order and tell us what he has found and so forth. And I've had substantial conversations with Jeff, myself, and with the ongoing project. And as you know, they've stayed away from that corner of your property. There's other work to be done anyway on the other side until we can have our meetings and investigate further and hopefully come to an agreement that satisfies you.
Okay.
So, but thank you very much, and stay in touch with the town if you have any questions. Bill Sweet's our contact person, our administrator. Feel free to call him.
Are we welcome to come to the meeting in the morning?
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it's an open meeting. We have full transparency in this town.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome to talk in our backyard if you can't hear yourself.
Oh, from the
dozers.
noise.
Okay.
Yes.
It's really
We,
loud.
we both work from home.
I mean, if
So
we get rumbled,
yeah.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
that applies especially to we hearing challenged individuals. So,
And thank you, Don and Sharon, for coming out. And it was really nice to meet you.
It was nice to meet you.
We're-
I would like you to tell these folks what you do for work. I mean, because
Oh,
you're not really, it's quite interesting. I mean, she knew about culverts.
So we moved from Portland, Oregon to Vermont. For my job, I'm a historian with the U.S. Forest Service. So I work for the Eastern region, 15 national forests in the Eastern region, and also the Greens and the White Mountains. But Yeah, so I research historic buildings and anything historic above ground, including old culverts, Forest Service culverts. So that's what I travel around to a different national forests, and then Jacob's a landscape architect with the Forest
Also with the
Service.
Forest Service. Yep. And until recently, I was still working for the Pacific Northwest region. And then as of yesterday, I started working for the Eastern region. And so
Wonderful.
I also work for the National Forest out here as a landscape architect.
Good. Well, again, welcome.
Thank you.
And if you ever have any questions on historic properties, I'm happy to answer. 'em.
Right, just, thank you.
Mary's very much into that,
We're
so.
working on a pocket park over by our falls, and it's formerly used by some of the Native Americans and was one of our first settlements in town. So yes, we might be talking.
All right, great. Look
Excellent.
forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did Kurt have anything?
No.
Okay.
I don't believe
No.
so.
I stopped up there before the meeting.
I know, you
and-
told me you
and
did.
looked at it, but
Is there any other member of the public that would wish to address the board? Anyone virtually or on the Zoom call? Hearing none, we'll go to department head reports and, as I said, we'll go with our town road commissioner, Dave Sears first. Good evening, Dave.
Good evening.
We can tell you've been working hard today.
Every day.
Every day.
Okay, I'll do this in reverse order, I guess. As far as the Poundline Road project, I did some research, tried to find any kind of easement that I could find in any of the records that I had at the office. Couldn't find anything, so I called Byron. He told me that there were a couple letters sent out to the property owners that are going to be impacted by the project. And kind of the way it worked, I guess, was Mrs. Medlin, who was quite elderly at the time, didn't quite understand the whole thing. So she had I believe her nephew, Chuck Bizzaro, kind of had Byron kind of explain it all to him. And they were okay with the project when they got done with that. Apparently there was in the letter, there was an easement that needed to be signed and mailed back to City Hall or Town Hall. That's kind of like where he lost track of it. So I don't know if there is one or isn't one. I guess we're still looking, but as far as the project itself, it's a big project. I mean, apparently we don't pour concrete anymore. It's all precast. And that's kind of the reason for a lot of this, that the footings and the foundation for the wing walls have to be 4 feet below the stream bed. So the deeper you go, the wider you have to go, or else you got to drive sheeting. So it's kind of out of control, but it's the project. It's what the project is. The bottom of the box culvert has to be 2 feet below the stream surface. So again, the deeper you go, the wider you go. I know Robert Clark is on the call. I don't know if he wants to chime in somewhere along the way if I'm misstating anything, but that's kind of where we are. We're still trying to figure something out, but.
So you haven't,
Robert
you
Clark.
haven't found, let's go through the property owner's concerns, at least to this point.
Mhm.
Do you know what plans are in place with the project to provide the protection for their well, the embankment, as the wing wall gets done? And there are wing walls on both sides of the
Correct.
culvert,
Yes.
on that downstream side to the well.
I don't know that answer. in
Okay,
particular.
well, maybe Robert can help us
He
with
was
that.
trying to answer your.
Robert,
Hey,
your,
Hi,
the
Don.
floor is yours. Good
Dave.
evening.
How are you guys today? So I'll go ahead and just kind of echo what Dave said. I mentioned to Dave that I was out last week when this issue came up. I was out with an illness, but I'm back this week, and I myself also reached out to Byron. We had for just a little bit of history with the board. We had a number of conversations with the previous property owner in that location. There was some historical ponding that would occur on the corner of the driveway closest to where the culvert is. And her only real concern was that we kind of regrade the lawn during that process, fill in that area. The existing culvert's a lot closer to the property, to the home, I should say, than the proposed culvert's going to be as far as the angle and alignment. So the previous property owner had wanted that filled in as much as possible to regain as much lawn as possible, and essentially regraded from the corner of the driveway where it meets Town Line Road, so that water wouldn't just sit there. It used to historically sit right on the driveway, and it was always icy and slippery. And we went through a couple of different design iterations with her and Byron, and as Dave mentioned, the other gentleman that had concern. The project timeline was kind of a long time ago too. Those conversations happened, I believe, in 2019 and into 2020 and into 2021 off and on. The project was submitted for permits after I was under the impression that the town had received the easements. We had worked out any of the landowner concerns. Those easements were sent to the property owners, and they were to be sent back to the town office, and then permits were filed. The project didn't get funding from the state at that time in that fiscal year. So the project was actually shelved for another fiscal year. And that's why it didn't get built last year. And essentially everything was in place. The project was awarded funding under this fiscal year, or everyone thought that everything was in place. And that's when, things went out to bid over the winter and for construction this summer. So just to give everyone that timeline, it was a 3-year period. There were several conversations with the property owners in that area. And I just think that the timing is unfortunate. I feel really bad about the situation for the property owners. As far as the work that needs to be done, the culvert was sized to accommodate the bank full width of Moon Brook in that area. And it was done in consultation with the Agency of Natural Resources. Dave mentioned, essentially burying the culvert an extra 4 feet. That's to create a natural channel bottom through there. It creates a natural condition rather than, rather than a metal pipe or something of that nature. And the bank full width creates a more normal flow condition. And we realigned it so that the flow was actually occurring away from the property and away from that spring water source. That's a surface water there that's subject to some pretty flashy conditions. And the previous property owner wanted that away from that bank as well. So that's how the design ended up where it did, with the grading that it did. I can't speak to the extra tree cutting that the property owners mentioned. If that were the case, that's extremely unfortunate. I have not personally been out to that site. I'm planning on being there tomorrow. But that's kind of the history and the structure sizing and what I was able to track down over the last 2 days.
Good. Thank you, Robert. In speaking with Jeff on the site, as a matter of fact, this afternoon, contractors, Ron Fabian, has accumulated a sizable number of really large boulders that have been taken out. And his intention, and I think this will probably have to be worked out with the engineers and so forth, but his intention is to use those boulders in addition to the flare that's going to be put on would be the south side of the outflow, which is now directed not towards your spring, but aligned further to the north so that it shoots away from it. But in case there's an overflow or in any event, water going around, to place those boulders so that they form a natural, now for the future, a natural, very impervious barrier to erosion towards the well, which would be a lot of extra protection. Since the boulders are there already, we might as well use them. That answers part of the question.
Yeah, I think the other piece, Don, was I was under the impression from the previous property owner that there was a well somewhere on that site, and that spring was not used as the drinking water source. It was used for other things on the property, and it sounds like that's not the case. I'd like to look at that a little bit more when I'm there tomorrow. But I was not aware that that's the drinking water source for them. It's very close to the Moon Brook, and is probably subject to surface water just based on the condition of that tile and everything that's there anyway, especially when the water levels rise in that brook. We've had a very dry summer. The water levels are considerably lower than what they are in the spring and other times of the year when it can get flashy up there and rise. But I do share their concerns in working around it. We had identified it. The property owner didn't want it disturbed, which is why it was shown on the plans. I don't know if they looked at it and saw there was construction fencing that was shown around. They didn't want the tile damaged, but I was not aware that it was the drinking water supply for the property.
There's no drilled well on your property?
There is a historical drilled well on, I believe, our neighbor's property, and our property came with an easement for that. And
Okay.
it was abandoned at some point in the long-term past, and the property owner could give me no explanation of why or when. And that the spring is our primary source of water for the
Okay.
house. Mhm.
But you do have an easement to a drilled well. It appears to have
Correct.
been not used for a while.
Correct.
Okay.
And, well, I would reiterate what Mary said earlier. I think, what we have to do is meet tomorrow and go over that with Robert there and come to some conclusion, because the culvert sections are scheduled to arrive, I think, towards the end of this week.
That was
Thursday, Friday or Saturday, maybe Sunday. I don't know, but
that was just based on the culvert pieces have been made, Don. That was based on Ron's original anticipated delivery schedule based on what he was thinking he would do for work. So we can talk through that tomorrow. They could be
And that
delivered at
also-
any time, but it was based on when he was going to be ready to set the pieces originally.
And that also hinges on Green Mountain Power getting in there to move the 3-phase,
yeah,
which,
I'm under the impression that they're not going to move the lines. They're simply going to shut them off.
no, they're gonna actually take them down.
Yeah, they're
They're
gonna,
gonna take the 3-phase down. They told us when we were there that, because the crane operator, the wing walls are 14 ton apiece. And the crane operator said, I'll just lift them up and go over here. And they said, oh, no, you won't. So they're gonna disconnect power for a short period of time, and they're actually gonna take the wire down, coil it up on one end or the other.
Okay,
they're
well-
gonna backfeed part of Town Line Road.
I guess Jeff had a different view of what was going to happen, but in any case, the crane, there's
There's one up and over the phone lines,
there's a distance that you can't come.
10 feet.
I thought it was 20.
It's 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In any case, yeah, those lines are right there.
Yeah.
But that is going to hinge on those trees. There's only 2 that the roots have been undercut anyway. And unfortunately, what's going to happen to those trees eventually, but that tree's yours. And we obviously want you to have it. It's your tree. If you'd like it bucked or in some kind of condition that you can use it for firewood or lumber or whatever you'd like. I mean, that's a mature maple.
Yeah, firewood would be great.
Pardon me?
Firewood would be great.
We can see that happens for you. I mean, it's, and he's been waiting to get that kind of accommodation. Ron has, and that's why he stayed completely away from that side. But those other trees that you have flagged, those will be protected, all of those. And the only ones that are gonna be removed are the maple and the other small, I don't know what the other small one
Cherry
is.
tree.
No, the cherry stays.
There's a
The
beech.
cherry,
Is
Is more to the
maybe there's
west.
Beach down in the bottom of the,
There's a beach down there on the.
yeah,
south of the
that's
river,
the smaller beech next to the maple that goes out further towards the brook. That one's gotta go, but the cherry, will be protected. So, in any case, I guess without further ado, we'd see you tomorrow at 9. And, Joe, do you have, comments, questions, or whatever of Robert or David or the Carringer and Wenzel's?
I don't. I just think it would be premature for me to say anything until I see the project and we all get together. And then when everybody is on site and actually got their hands on, then we can come up with what needs to be done and what safeguards and stuff that the folks want for their property. We could just beat this to death all night tonight, but we have to be on site and then we'll have a better understanding. So I'll wait and reserve my comments till tomorrow.
Okay,
So
Is that-
folks, my apologies. I won't be able to make it tomorrow. I'm transporting a friend to the hospital for some surgery, so I'll try and drive up around there or up there. I don't think we can go around right now, so I'll try and go up there and take a look.
Your own adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
one side or the other.
Yes, thank you.
if you do, go in from the Killington Avenue.
I saw
side.
that.
Yeah.
That was, thank you, Bill, for reminding us how to
The,
get there.
Do you have any other comments or questions of
Not at
us?
this time. Yeah.
Okay.
I just thank you for looking into it.
Sure.
Like, we're
Okay.
really appreciative. We know you have a whole bunch of complex issues that you deal with in Rutland town, so we're appreciative of us, and we're learning more information every time somebody is digging. So
Yeah.
it's good to have the information also. Robert was really helpful.
We moving here to a smaller place than where we lived before. We had hoped to get involved in civic affairs at some point, but we didn't expect. it.
well, there you have it.
Not quite this way.
Well-
Well, Mary will hold your ear for the pocket part.
Yeah, and you should know that Lisa, the young gal there, she's a firebrand, the worker for
Oh,
Faignant.
yes, yeah.
She found an apothecary bottle down in that rubble. And of course, that happens a lot in these, and especially in that Brook Valley. That's and it was way down. I mean, it was in the excavation and they saw this glitter, something shine, and they went down and grabbed it, and she's got it, and it's got a date on it that goes like way back. Interesting.
Maybe.
We just want to assure you as a board that our desire is that you be happy with the end result. And there you go. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now we'll proceed with the rest of your
Okay.
report, Dave.
If Robert's still here, I just got a quick, one more little thing about this, the Green Mountain Power issue. Fabian got a quote on that to move those wires. It was 3854.21. I'm not, is it on?
They have copies of
Okay. So I don't know, do you have to approve that, Robert, or how do we
So
need to expedite that really?
we got to have a conversation with Ron tomorrow, Dave. From my perspective, it's Ron's responsibility. He sent that to me and I told him that, and apparently he didn't like that answer, so he sent it directly to Bill. So we can talk through it tomorrow when I'm available.
Okay.
But I have not had a conversation with Ron. I explained to him through Jeff last week where I felt in the contract, it was the contractor's responsibility to pay the disconnect fee for Green Mountain Power for this work. Ron sent me a copy of that. I reminded him of it. And then it sounded like he sent that to Bill. I got back to my desk late when Bill forwarded me the email as well. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Onward and upward. Cheney Hill Lane, paved, topsoil, happy people, most of them. There's no good deed ever goes unpunished. So, but we did solve the water problem for Mr. Yankowski's house.
Good.
Looks really good up there. Water runs totally away from there and came out nice.
Did you test it under?
Yes.
Did you just?
Took a 500-gallon tank of water up there and opened the valve and let her rip. And it came down and went off the end of the cul-de-sac and down into the grass and to a far better place. Gone. So it worked well. And we actually went up there, I think a day or two later, and it was raining, and we went up there and there was nothing going toward his driveway.
So it doesn't go to Yankowski's driveway?
Not at all.
No, good. Good, problem solved.
Roadside mowing, I'm learning is gonna be the bane of my existence. The tractor actually went down last week because the EPA is helping us, putting more sensors and stuff. So we had a couple sensors went down, a wire got cut from the exhaust, and we had to send it to Middlebury to the doctor, and it's back and we're back in business, and now everybody can complain about us mowing instead of us not mowing.
I think I mean, the mowing I saw on Creek Road the second time through was excellent. So I'm pleased.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
Walt's definitely getting back.
Yeah, he's
too,
getting
which is
back.
good.
He's
Yeah.
getting that
I like
poison
seeing that.
parsnip.
I've gotten a couple calls this week because he is getting back.
Yeah.
People are like, well, how come he went so far? I'm like, it needed to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
looks very good.
Right. Speaking
They
of
get out in the
Walt,
poison parsnip, they'll know why.
too late for that. It's all on the seed.
Yeah, that's right.
I have a question because Walt's retiring. And he's retiring now, but he's getting paid out. So can I actually hire somebody to take his place? Because we're actually still using his salary until October or something.
Oh, yeah.
We're all good with that?
You can hire his replacement because he's not effectively working for the
Yeah, he's
town.
not.
Right, but his salary is still
His
coming out of the
salary's
salary
coming
line.
out. So how's the budget look if you did bring somebody else on?
Gonna take a hit.
Yeah.
I mean, because he's on that higher salary.
Yeah.
From before. So
Well, I think if he has to
It
have
should.
the staff,
It'll even out maybe over the long run, because I would think that we're just into the new budget. And a new hire won't be making quite what Walt was, so by the end of the fiscal year, we should be pretty close. Don't you think, Dave?
yeah, I mean, we might be over something, but I don't know what that will be.
It's an that's kind of an unanticipated event that last November, we didn't know was gonna happen when we did the
Yeah.
budget, so,
And we do have
it'll just be,
carryover usually.
it'll be just part of this very, interesting 22-23 operation, given all of the other hits we've taken.
True enough.
And you have applicants that you need to screen and.
I do. I have, 2 more applications came in the last week or so.
Right.
One I just
So-
got today, actually.
So what's the board's feeling? I think Dave ought to be proceeding through with this, and then the highway committee ought to be presenting a name to the board
Yep.
as soon as possible so that we can
Yeah, for sure.
have a full crew on, especially.
Yeah, start screening and background checks and
Yeah, I've already interviewed a couple guys and then
The
I
fun
was
stuff.
kind of headed in a direction and then I got another application, another one just today. So
I don't think we're gonna go broke with a month of that kind of a salary difference, so.
no, and
Anyway.
it's gonna take a little bit of time to get it sorted
Right.
out on your choice.
I'm just trying to
Notice.
expedite Dave's procedure to do the interviews so that.
Yeah, we
this
might as well
doesn't-
get the ball rolling.
Yeah,
Sooner rather than later.
okay.
good.
And then Quarter Line Road, we finally got done yesterday, actually, because I wasn't here when that got paved and it just kept falling off my radar because and the people up there were extremely happy that we did it after 3.5 months or whatever. So that's all done. Back to the Town Line Road thing a little bit. We have permission from the city to install a couple Town Line Road closed signs
Oh, good.
in the city, so I called the city today. They marked a couple spots for us to put them, one on Stratton Road, one on Killington Avenue. So those will go up first thing tomorrow morning.
Good.
And that's what I got.
Speaking
And
of
are they
this-
proceeding, excuse me, are they proceeding with the expediting the post
Oh,
road?
Post Road, they were up there today, jackhammering up the valve in front of the school. So
Good.
I
hallelujah.
heard through the grapevine Thursday, maybe, to do that cut in. I haven't heard that directly, but
Good.
It's about time.
So what we've learned from that project is that anytime we hook onto a city water line, that even though the line's in the town and it uses city water, we need to start that process months before the excavation.
true.
That it, Dave?
That's all I got.
Good. That's enough. for
That's
sure.
enough.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank
Any
you.
questions? Any other board members have questions of Dave? No. Okay. Our next report. Let's see, is Chris? Chris on? Our next report will be from Chris Clark, our town fire chief. Good evening, Chris.
Good evening. How are you?
Good.
I don't got much tonight. The new truck arrived last week. We've been putting our equipment and stuff on it. So hopefully in the next couple weeks it'll be in service. We're going to do some training with it before we put it in service. But it's really all I got to tell you tonight.
Did you want to ask him that question or?
Yeah, Chris, was the fire truck all complete and all checked out?
It is. It's going to be ready to go as soon as we get all the stuff on it.
We're asking because we're supposed to approve the final payment to them. Do we need to withhold anything? Or is everything, or is your fire committee satisfied with the truck is now delivered?
Nope, we're all satisfied. I mean, there's nothing major wrong with it. I don't know where you're hearing that, but
No, I didn't
don't-
hear it. It's just having learned the lesson from another project that will remain nameless. I just wanted to make sure before we wrote the final check that everything was okay as far as you're concerned.
yep, everything looks good to me.
Okay, thanks.
Chris, have you taken it out pumping yet?
We have not.
Okay, I would just think that if they're not bothering him for the money, that, you know, let the boys take it out and put it through its paces before we pay for any final payment. I mean, I don't know if there's a deadline or if we're going to be incurring anybody's wrath, but given what Mary just said, I'd rather make sure that these guys, because sometimes things don't show up until you actually use the truck. And I've purchased a number of new ones for the town, and it's always good to make sure the boys are very happy, especially the guy wearing the white hat, because if something doesn't go right or something's wrong, he's going to have to hear it. So that would be my recommendation, that you guys, you know, unless we are under contract to pay for it within a certain period of time, I would like to see you guys use it and make sure it functions and you've driven it and everybody's happy, or at least you're happy. You're the guy that really matters. Okay.
I get it. Yeah, I did. Well, I went to Minnesota and we pumped with it quite a bit out there. So I mean, we're going to practice with it a lot, but I know it works.
Yeah.
I've driven
Yeah,
it, so
yeah. You know where I'm coming from though, right?
I do.
Okay. Been
The
there,
check
done
has
that.
been written already, right?
There's a copy of it there, yeah.
It's been paid. That final bill has been paid. And we've have enough signatures on the order to approve it, so I guess it's a done deal.
Well, I put my 2 cents in too late.
It's
So we take a penny back from you.
there you go. Anything else, Chris?
No. It was paid because that was what the contract with how it was written. So that's why it's paid.
There you go.
Is there some concern over it, or am I missing something here?
No,
No.
Chris, it was just as I said, because we learned a hard lesson on the Center Rutland Fire Station. You weren't
okay.
involved, but yeah, we paid, and then we had to go through litigation to, you know, be satisfied, not completely, but with things that weren't done correctly. So I'm just trying to be
Right.
cautious.
I get it, but I don't think there's anything to worry about with this. We checked it out pretty good, so should be good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Chris, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank
Chris.
you.
Our next report will be from Barbara Pulling, our Town Planning Commission Chairperson.
Yes, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, the video didn't come up on my end, so had me wondering there for a second. So a couple weeks ago, we talked about looking into river corridors, and I promised you a map, but I didn't get it ready in time for Bill to send it out before he went on vacation. But I do have a map that we can look at in a couple, the next meeting. And I just wanted to go through some of the benefits of river corridors as far as there being a federally declared disaster in town or in the county. So this would apply to public assistance, not individual assistance, but public assistance. And if a road is washed out, or if a bridge needs to be replaced, those kinds of expenses, debris picked up, those will be covered. So FEMA, the feds pick up 75% of those costs. So there's 25% that goes to the state. And the state will give towns a break if they do certain things. And Rutland Town has done everything except river corridors. So it now has to pay 12.5% of that 25%. But if it added river corridors, that would go down to 7.5%. That would be the town's responsibility. And so if there's some high ticket items, that could make a difference. And a river corridor is that land adjacent to a river that allows it to meander and to be in equilibrium. And it also includes some of the erosion areas that might become problems. The map you'll see in a couple weeks, it doesn't really add too much to what's already there for the floodway and for special flood hazard areas. Adds a few areas, adds a few more structures and properties, but we can look at that at that point. There are some new FEMA maps coming out. They're going to use LiDAR, so they're going to be much more accurate. We could wait for those. They should be out in the next year or two, or you just write into an ordinance that whatever new mapping comes out applies to that ordinance. And one other thing, the state just, well, it wasn't last month, in June, came out with some new model language and model ordinance built for towns that don't have zoning. So that's really handy, and that's brand new. And that would cover river corridors, special flood hazard areas, and the floodway. And have
So Barb, who determines what work has to be done on this river corridor? Who determines compliance and?
Well, we work with A&R, and there's a regional floodplain manager who's based in Rutland, who can he can come speak to you folks. He can help us with the language. He can answer all kinds of questions about what the state is looking for as far as that ERAF, those rates, those disaster rates I was talking about. Anything else you want to do that FEMA might like to see and may have more grant money available if you went even further than what the state is suggesting here. So we've got some local resources we can draw on there.
But as far as our resources for the town match or funding, would we'd have to be able to see how much of this river corridor work is going to be at our cost in order to make a determination whether it's worth it to simply get 5% less money from the state.
Yeah, I don't know how to answer that. I mean, any disaster declaration, the town can start accumulating the expenses that have been incurred. And then, the first stop is the state, and it determines how much the municipality is responsible for. And that's where those ERAF rates come in.
You mean the
Does that answer your
17.5
question?
versus, you mean the 17.5% versus the 7.5%?
12.5% right now.
12.5, I'm sure.
Yep, that's the town's share. That's as much as it can, get the cost down to. But that can go to 7.5% with river corridors.
Yeah, I guess it would depend on how big a disaster it was. I mean,
Yeah, would the town rack up for Hurricane Irene from flooding? I guess would be a good example.
Good judge.
Be a good judgment of,
yeah, I would think.
how much FEMA aid did we need to build back roads and replace culverts and things like that after Irene. And we're on down to the big river corridors, that East Creek corridor. I mean, we didn't have any bridge issues that I can recall, or anything like that. I guess that'd be something to look into.
Yeah, just the McKinley Avenue Bridge, it came pretty close to the
It came close to that.
girders.
Yeah, it came close to that one. So we could look into what the town had to, put back together after Irene.
Yeah.
Then make a judgment after that.
Then make a judgment. That'd give us a rough ballpark. I mean,
Yeah.
So I guess, what's the board's feelings? I think we ought to probably hear from those people that are going to be talking about this river corridor.
Yeah, but I'd also like
yeah,
the stats on what happened with Irene.
not sure who
That's going to give us an idea.
researched that, but yeah.
I don't know.
I think Byron was working on, he had been the one who submitted what our damage claim was along with Bill.
Yeah, he's
I think.
probably.
Were you here then? Okay.
No,
But there should be something
Joe's
in
and
the
Galley did.
Yeah.
'Cause I know there was this pretty severe question from the Hendys as to whether or not both of those properties were eligible for that one-time payment that the Irene, I don't know what they called it, the Irene recoupment fund, where they offered so much money for mitigation, and then the property couldn't be built on again, but they
Right.
made a payment for the property.
Yep.
Fair market value, actually.
Yeah.
And Danny was pretty upset that that was never offered to him by Joe, and he had an opportunity to get that money.
Yeah. I know just, from talking with Byron here and there, and I think one of the bigger FEMA events he had as he was road commissioner was a wind event. It was a windstorm.
Was it the Noricane?
It might have been that
Yeah.
hurricane.
Yeah.
The one that
20
came off the east side.
27.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was 07. Yeah.
Yep.
So that would be a possible disaster too. And,
Yeah.
looking ahead, I'm a planner, so that's kind of an occupational hazard.
Well, there's your video.
There we go. Yeah. I don't know
Would-
what's
would
going
a-
on here.
Would a wind
Um,
event change the outcome of having river corridor ordinances?
It's just a matter of having that box checked when there's a federally declared disaster. The other boxes are, that the town's a member of the NFIP, that you have a local hazard mitigation plan, that you have the road standards, it used to be called the Orange Book approved, those sorts of things. So it's just checking off those boxes. And it should not affect that. in a detrimental way.
So I guess we have to have those experts that you have available to you, Barb, come at some point, and we'll put them on the agenda and have them explain just how much this river corridor improvement, mitigation, whatever, is going to cost and who's going to share and what and how long it takes, because
Yeah, and what,
that's not something that's going to happen in a fortnight either.
and what the ordinance is gonna say and what the ordinance would restrict and, some
That's
stuff
right.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah, and the devil's in the details, always.
Yeah,
Um,
just trying to grasp, what this river corridor ordinance would be trying to restrict people from doing along the river or, things like that. So some more clarity would be awesome.
Yeah, it gets pretty nuanced. Some developments allowed, special flood hazard area, but not in the floodway. Even if it's, an accessory structure. I mean, it's just, there's all kinds of variables. And it gets complicated.
Yeah, better we know before.
Yeah, I'd
But
want
we
more.
have, I mean, don't forget, we already have some flood hazard area ordinance in effect. So,
Yes,
yeah, and we have had for quite some time. So this is something in addition to that. This isn't
Yeah.
necessarily brand new.
Will you keep us apprised of when we can hear from these people?
Yeah, the regional floodplain manager, he's based in Rutland, but he covers Bennington, Addison, and Rutland counties. So he's kind of a busy guy. So I'll get him lined up for one of your meetings and let you know.
Good.
And I was just going to mention, looking around at some of the severe weather that's been happening, it might be something, as a planner, again, to keep in mind that the storms are they're freaky. They're, so a lot more going on with them right now, a lot more precipitation, a lot more water coming down when it happens. But here we are sitting in a drought. But
I was just going to say, did I miss something? I never in my life thought I would wish for rain, but boy.
Yeah.
oh, I know, it's so dry.
Anything else, Barb?
No, that's pretty much it for this evening.
Can I ask something?
Yeah.
Barb, do you have enough folks to be at townwide celebration with our energy survey?
The survey's ready to go, and yes, we've got 3 people lined up, 3 planning commission
Great.
members. So I think we'll be pretty well staffed.
Good, thank you very much.
For the 4 hours. You haven't extended the time, have you?
No. You can
Yeah.
stay as long as you'd like, but still 4 hours is what we were planning.
Okay, yeah, we should be good.
Thank you.
That it, Barb?
That's it on my end.
Good. Well, thank you very much and have a nice rest of your evening.
Okay, thank you.
Our next report will be Kari, our town clerk and treasurer. Good evening, Kari.
We don't have very much at all. Election is done. We had a very low turnout, 27%.
That was pretty, I think that's higher than the state average, though.
But you know what? Lay was out front projecting and he said 30%.
Yeah,
So he was pretty accurate
Pretty
before
close.
the day was even halfway through.
Yeah. Oh, he was right on it when you walked in the door.
Yeah. He's a man of
Man.
numbers.
He's a good man.
Yeah, he is.
I appreciate everyone's help. The only question that I have is, I sent an email out to everyone. I need guidance from the board. I have some invoices for the new public safety building and the amount of money that we were starting off with which was the settlement money from the Center Rutland Fire Station, the $30,000 that has been pretty much depleted. There's about 2,300 left in the line. So I need to know where you want the next invoices to come from. What money?
So I think, I'm trying to remember, what was that
Didn't we-
article? In the, yeah,
Yeah.
Joey?
Well, didn't we take, there was a settlement money and there was a sum taken from the capital improvement money that went into it. And I believe there was, the remainder of the bond money from the other station. I thought those figures
Yes.
all came in there, and that money was, along with the ARPA money, was supposed to all go into account. But I know that we had kind of said the soft costs would be coming from that capital improvement money. I didn't know if Kari opened an account specific to that public safety building and then could deposit funds into that account as we got those, and then draw from that account for the soft costs and the preliminary expenses before the actual construction. I thought that was the way we discussed it and how it was to be set up.
Yeah, I think you're right. Joe, what was that second thing you mentioned? The capital improvement fund and the,
On money.
The remainder.
yeah,
of
the
bond.
remaining
Was it-
bond money, right?
Yes, I think we pooled all of that. I think that we did the
Yes, we
legwork.
did.
We found out that we could use that money for this construction project, or the soft costs and the settlement. I believe there were three contributions into that beginning balance before the ARPA money. And then there would be the ARPA money. And then once we came up with a figure, we would know how much to ask the voters to go to bond for.
Right. That's
Correct.
my recollection too.
Right, mine too.
Yeah.
Okay.
But here's the thing. So the bond money is its own separate entity, just like I kind of talked to you guys about before.
Yep.
And the capital improvements are in its own line. So I think the next thing I should do is tap into the rest of the bond money, because I think it just makes sense. I
Yes.
can't combine those monies.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
bond cannot be combined with everything in
That's
one
fine.
account. So when Andrew and I actually get through this part, then we can probably combine monies. But right now they're all in these separate places. And the bond, you have to ask for that money. That's something special.
Was that like 54,000?
Mhm.
Okay. So that's going to
So
go,
that would be-
other ways toward these soft costs.
A little bit.
Okay.
These are large invoices, so
Yeah.
I'll do that next then.
Yeah, that would be, and if you need some guidance, Kari, probably Andrew is your best resource as to how to, the voters have approved these sums and their use. So he would probably be your best resource as which would be the next source to tap and then go from there. So, but I think you're right on track.
Yeah, he is. He and I are in constant contact.
JP, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Does this sound reasonable to you?
It does. These were the three sources we were going to use to pay these bills.
Okay. So you're gonna go to bond next?
I'm gonna go to the remaining amount of money from the bond.
And talking about the bond, it's probably a good time for the town to start heading down the path of obtaining a bond for the remainder of the construction monies. We're still on target to go out to bid this fall, and the bids will be coming in the spring, which gives us a lot of lead time to get the bond in place. So I would recommend that the board, get with bond counsel and start that process going.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah,
I don't know how much you bond for if you don't have a bid yet.
It was the
So-
amount that was on the ballot that said not to exceed a certain amount, and that would be what you would ask for. And then that we would have to use that amount. I think the amount was something like around 2 million. That, we'd have to go back and read that ballot item, but that's what's approved. So that would be the amount we would probably be looking to go to bond for.
Okay, well, we'll,
I think that Kevin Brown had said something about that to me. He does have to sign off on that, so he could be a good source for who, bond counsel and who to use, but that's a good
We
place.
go through Vermont Bond Bank.
Yeah.
But that's the stuff that I was talking about earlier.
Okay,
There's a whole process to that, and there's only certain times that you can do that.
okay,
But the thing that got us not doing it this year is they need actual numbers. They need actual quotes. They need
Okay.
all of that sort of stuff, and we don't have that yet.
okay.
Yeah, they're not gonna want to give out a bond and have the project come in overpriced and have to revote, and you don't know where you're going until you get a
yeah,
bid
well,
back.
I've always had a healthy aversion to bonding first and then letting everybody know how much money you got and then going out to bid. I mean, that doesn't seem wise to me. Anyway. But we'll talk to Kevin about it. And that will be very soon because we're meeting with him this week, tomorrow. So I'll see him then.
That's all I have.
Okay, so what else you got?
That's all I have.
That's it. Well, thank you very much for your abbreviated report. And
Welcome.
Kari, I thought the way you had the polls set up worked
Oh,
really, really
excellent.
well. And other ballot clerks I talked to liked it too, so
Good.
nice.
Yeah, it seemed to run very, very smoothly. It did.
Little different than the city. I guess that was a horror show.
Oh boy.
well,
People
those
were-
cards made a
they
big
send 'em-
difference.
sent
I
them
think
all
they
over.
really did.
I knew it was going to work out pretty well. We had some glitches in the end of the day, but everything worked out.
27% is
though.
pretty good though, really. You have to,
Mhm.
Use your tabulators work well. I didn't
Yeah.
get here afterwards.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. The everything seemed to be pretty much on point. Yeah.
Yeah, I was impressed that it came through. I mean, especially with the new tabulators and
Yeah.
all that was going on. I thought it went extremely well.
A lot of pre-planning went into that, so
Sure did.
good.
You girls did a good job.
thank you.
Thank you very much. Mike Rowe, our Recreation Director, you're up.
I don't have much. Our last day of swimming is the townwide celebration day on the 27th, which is coming up very, very quickly. We'll be closing the pool on the 28th, so we'll have it all put to bed. Then, so when Dave drives by on Friday, it's all good. When he comes back on Monday, it's like, what happened to everything? Just kind of miraculously gets covered. You'll be like, oh, okay, summer's over. That's pretty much what it's like. Let's see. Everything else is running smoothly. Thanks to Bill, we got our payment in for our Act 250, so we're just waiting for that for our trails and stuff, as you know how government crawls. So we'll wait to get the response from them. We're redoing the playground. Thank you for your expertise and your wisdom. That's happening on Monday. We're fixing it. We're prepping it tomorrow. And it's being done on Monday. I just confirmed with the guys. So it'll look nice for the townwide celebration and it'll be safe forever. Our pickleball, holy shnikes. They are,
I told you.
they are fanatics to say the least. There are 14 of them that are there pretty much 5 days a week.
Mr. Chaffee at the helm.
Mr. Chaffee has not been there since we made that little comment. I have not
Ronnie
seen him.
Chaffee.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have not seen him.
Yep.
This one
Yeah, there was
hasn't either. I told
It
him.
was quite funny. Yeah, we had a nice little conversation and Ronnie was running his mouth and
Sharon said, throw him out of the park.
yeah, and the group said, "Yep, you're out, Ronnie," and it was a fun time.
He was a neighbor and his sister is one of my dearest friends.
Yep.
So.
But so they're up there, so that's being used thanks to Dave and the boys. They took down the net, so it really is looking like a
Well, the feedback that I've gotten from people that played pickleball, because I played this winter and I'm not good. They really are happy up there. So
they are. They thank me every time I drive by.
Yeah. I was talking to Dave Williams and he was very
He was.
impressed.
They asked to paint some extra lines, and I said, "Sure." I asked Sharon, "Sure." So they took that and did that on their own accord because they're pretty fanatical about it, which is fine, which is great. I mean,
you ought to play with some of them. I mean, they're really
they're up there for about 2.5, 3 hours a day.
Yeah.
Are they going to be doing a demonstration of pickleball during townwide celebration, do you think?
No, I'll probably get some of my guards to do
Okay.
that. But no, they'll probably be there that morning and be gone by the time we start. They're up there all the time. So that's been a huge success. I knew it would be. And there are other people playing. We did have a very big event, and Kari, I have to get to you. We had a huge event on Sunday. And we'll probably do it again, but it was quite interesting. We had the Castleton football team, all 140 of them, at the pool on Sunday. We closed it from 1 to 4, and they came and their booster, whatever, did a huge cookout buffet, and there were
nice
40 college boys swimming in the pool, playing in the pickleball court, playing basketball all throughout the park.
You didn't invite the cheerleaders? I mean,
I
yeah, Mike. Yeah.
There were two female guards on duty, so it was
They were in their
Plus
glory.
on the boy. Anyway, we'll just leave it at that. They were very well behaved. They did a great job. They helped clean up. It was a very positive and a win-win situation for all. The coach was a little surprised. He didn't think that we could pull it off. I'm like, well, we've had district swim meets there. We've had thousands of
Did you
people
tell them
there.
this is Rutland Town Week and
Can
pull
figure
it
it
out?
out. So it worked. It was really cool. It was a great experience for everybody. So that was this weekend. Other than that, we're just kind of getting ready to transition into fall. And the townwide celebration. Most everything from my end, I believe, is done.
I think it is.
And
Yeah,
ready to
I
go.
just-
I just gotta buy plates and I'll buy them that morning.
Yeah, and then you got to tell me what time I pick up all this stuff.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so just
And-
call
and I
me.
think
There'll
we'll
be
be
two pickups, one the day before.
Right.
And one that
Yep,
day.
and Mike's going to store the stuff.
Yeah, I
Okay.
have room.
And the sausage are going to be pre-cooked.
Oh, even better.
Yeah, that's what I said.
And we're gonna put you right outside on the grass. As you look
Okay.
at to the left,
Okay.
where I set the Castleton group up, and I have a tent and table, so we'll
Great.
do everything right outside the pool area.
But the
for
two
people.
Galloping Gourmets will be there,
Yes.
Mary and I.
Well, we've recruited.
And
our-
yes, sir, Mr. Dave,
Yeah.
you agreed in front of God and our
We got you
country.
on tape.
Oh, you're on.
We
tape.
do.
But I do have. I
Hold
do
the
have
tape.
something in that vein.
Yeah.
Does anybody have anybody that is remotely artistic that can do some kind of a thing for the name the wing thing?
Oh,
I'm a lot of things, artist ain't one.
We could definitely, this is what I will put it out to our art teacher at school.
oh, wonderful.
Once we get the names, you have some time and maybe we can arrange that they get there and, or whatever. I can run that by her. I'm sure she would, because the kids essentially from the town are going to vote the name.
Yeah.
And
Right.
she teaches everyone. So I can chat with her because we looked at it the other day and we actually could take four plows and a wingman, because you have 3 plows and a wingman, because you have the 3 trucks that are each gonna have a plow. So you could have multiple names.
Well, let's do the plow and the wingman.
There you go.
Okay. What you're looking for is some artwork to draw
Something-
people there so
yeah.
they vote. Okay, that's what we need. And I think you're talking later.
Yeah, I can help with the end part. The beginning part, I don't know. Bill's pretty good with
Yeah, I'll talk
don't
to
look
Bill.
like that. Bill can handle
I'll
it.
talk to Bill.
Bill can do that. Culvert. So we should be good. What you could do I know this is a little extra, is you could actually park the plows down at the pool.
Why not?
And there's a visual.
We were planning on, we actually bought the paint today. We're gonna paint them and
Oh, nice.
trucks. and-
Yay.
But I think if you park them right at the
Okay.
pool, down right by my double bay doors by the storage container, and you could make a sign, name the, I mean, drop your name in there and they get visual. That would be a good idea. If you're gonna plan to do that, then
Have we got any unused ballot boxes, Carrie, downstairs that we could use for that?
Like the gray.
Yeah. 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 Could we borrow that for the? Okay, good, thanks.
that'll work out.
Name that, yeah, we'll take the padlock off. I don't think it's that high security, but.
No, you never know.
Thank you.
I don't know. We
Don
might,
might be over there slipping notes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Need a warrant for that?
I'm shopping.
I already have my name.
And then the other two things, one, I just checked on the zero turn that we ordered. It's scheduled for the middle of September. And Bill has graciously, or is in the process of putting up our walk behind that we're gonna use as payment for that.
Okay. Yes.
Photos
good.
for that to go out so people can look at it, and I'll plan to have it at townwide celebration with a for sale sign on it as well.
There's
So,
Dingy Dell.
and that's all I have for you. Unless
That's a
somebody
lot.
has
That's
something
a
else.
lot. I mean,
Yeah,
really?
summer's going quick. Oh, and for the record, I will be, if I didn't tell you, I'm having my knee replaced in November 14th. So I will
Okay.
be out of action, but on a phone. So just so you're well aware in advance, which
Okay,
is
Thank you.
the beginning of
So
basketball
we can
season.
start calling you Gimp.
You can come. Well, that's good. So what can I call you now?
You better be careful.
Well, you started it. You sent the
Okay,
first
children.
volley. Sent the first volley. I'm good. Does anybody have anything?
No. Anybody have any questions for Mike? Thank you, Mike.
All right. So
Mike.
Thanks, Mike. Gimp.
She's so proud.
Answer your phone.
Answer my phone.
What?
geez, you were just,
Oh, it's at my
you were
house,
just
Joe.
up there 15 minutes ago.
It's at my house.
Yeah, it's at the house.
No
She's not-
wonder I didn't.
She's not gonna answer it.
And Steve can't figure out yet how to, he say, I did that and that thing didn't turn on.
Okay.
He's got an old flip phone.
Chief Dumas is eagerly awaiting to give his report. Good evening, Ed.
Can I add something before he
You
starts?
can
You
certainly
can
ask.
sit here and watch. You had Chief Dumas, Kari, and Gimp lined up there. And all I could think of is the bad boys in the back of the room when I grew up going to school. They were in the back raising. I know. And Kari, I mean, they're a bad influence on you. You've got to.
We noticed that you had your cell phone, you were taking pictures of somebody and you were looking at something or other and Carrie was tee-heeing and whatever.
And Ed was teeing too.
That was last meeting. Sorry, you're a meeting late. Last meeting we were.
Hmm.
Maybe that R&R with your knee will settle you down a
Well,
bit.
remember, we actually were reversed and you were all over here and we were all over there and we didn't have to.
I
come
was
up,
never
right?
over there.
And we would sit
Yep.
back there.
No, I wasn't.
No, you aren't.
No.
You weren't part of it.
No, but I think the two of you sitting next to the chief is appropriate because you need law enforcement protection
Gotta tease
anyway.
him.
You might have-
Anyway,
Go ahead, Ed.
after all of that, Ed,
So, total for the week is I had 63 calls for service. 8 of those were traffic stops, so 55 calls for service altogether. We did have Joe Donato, you on the line? Should be.
Speak up. Joey.
Joey,
I just have to remember to take it off mute. Go ahead.
so there is a saw that has been dropped out. We don't know if it's yours or not, but we do have a saw, and Officer Placus will get it to you tomorrow, I suspect.
Yeah, he was calling me while we were on, and I texted him back, and I just wanted to publicly thank him for his outstanding work at mitigating an unfortunate situation that occurred here at the farm Saturday morning.
So Joe tried to do a good deed and no good deed goes unpunished. It cost him a wheel and a chainsaw, but we think we got him back, right?
I'm hoping. Yep.
Yeah, so.
And he's done a
Jimmy's been
very
working
good-
on this.
Yeah, and he's done a very good job of keeping me separated from the person who perpetrated this incident here at the farm, which I give him very big high marks for.
So you
Joe,
don't
you may
have
have-
to, you don't have to do any fall planting then, do you, Joe?
You never know.
So that's about all I have is Russ. I know that Mike's here on an item
We-
that
Yeah, what we need to do, Ed, is first part of next week, Monday, Tuesday, warn a police committee meeting for whatever day fits everybody's schedule so we can sit down and talk that over. I was unable to do that this week because this week was already booked for me, but 9 o'clock Monday or Tuesday morning, if we can get all participating individuals, and we'll meet over the town office and we'll try to get everything squared away.
is this with Mike Daliani?
With Mike, and I think JP had some issues that we need to talk about, reimbursement for the hourly rate for our constables being out on patrol. So we got a couple of issues there that we need to get talked over, and anything else you guys might need to discuss.
Okay, that's fine.
So you want to keep that for next meeting, Joe, or so we were.
We need
couldn't talk
yeah, I
about
think
that.
so, because we need to have a police committee meeting. I know you'd mentioned it to me, Don. I just couldn't make it work this week, but next week looks more favorable. And like I said, Monday or Tuesday, that'll be quick. We'll have time to warn it, and we'll try to get everything taken care of that we need to discuss. If that meets everybody's approval.
Well, let me check with those involved. Mike, is that okay with you? Ed?
I'm good.
Okay, well, that's,
JP?
I was good with Mike. I'm good with that.
JP, you all set with that?
Yeah, we'll make that work.
Okay, good.
What day do you want, Joe? Monday or Tuesday? Monday's better.
When-
Monday's better.
Whatever day works for you guys, I'm at your disposal for that week because it's going to rain and the haying is not going to be good.
Monday worked for me.
All right,
Monday then.
I'll be there.
good.
Let's do it Monday then.
So Monday
Yeah,
at what, 9?
9 at the town office. Yeah, 9 at the
Okay.
town office is good.
Okay, Ed,
Okay, so
dispatch?
I read the paper.
we read the paper. It is what it is at this point in time. I think we spoke about the train at the school the week before last. We had, had two great guys from SIG Academy came, taught 7 local officers on, how to do, basically take out a school shooter if there's that issue, or anybody, if anytime there's that scenario in, buildings or anywhere in the town or in Rutland County for that matter. Helped us do that. It was very good training. After that, she's gone to training for the SRO. There's some bills there from her file. She's had come back with some good ideas that we have to sit down and talk over the school here in the short time. Other than that, not a whole lot. We're busy still. I don't know if you want.
How
Bill,
south
it
of
put-
the city?
What's that?
How south of the city?
It's the same.
Yeah.
Recovered a stolen vehicle down there this morning. Yeah, use a credit card, tried to use a stolen credit card as a Sunoco and at Hannaford's. I arrested the guy who had the car that was stolen earlier today. We figured out who he was, and it's on, everything's got video now, so it makes it a lot easier. But I do have to say one thing about Hannaford's people, some of the people that work at the hotel, Sunoco. Charles Hall's the manager there. He used to be a Rutland City police officer. The videos there we're getting are just phenomenal. He pulled a video last week with an accident there. You could see it in real time, just as it occurred. there's no guesswork at all, and just watch what happens. You can zoom in. Sunoco put a lot of money into that system, and it's paid off. I know that they've also, in the past, they had a murderous down country. I think in Massachusetts, they were actually able to see the vehicle involved drive in front of the Sunoco. That was several months ago. So it's nice having.
So did you get the Twisted Tea thief?
We have their pictures, but I think they're probably with the road crew or somebody that was working around, and we haven't seen them since. So they got 2 cases of Twisted Tea for.
I'd choose something better than that.
Yeah.
Man.
Millennials.
Oh man, that's rugged.
And it's about what we have fun at this point in time. So Angie's excited to start the school. The week before school, she's going to be at the school setting things up there for herself.
She's a real good gal.
Yeah, she is. She's an asset to Rutland Town. Does a lot of motor vehicle work. She gets out pretty early in the morning. I have no problem with it. She's patrols and takes her calls and makes more stops than most of us. So I have no complaints whatsoever.
Good.
Ted's done a great job putting the training together. And Jimmy's a work. He's a worker for sure. I mean, he's been on his days off since Saturday working Joe's case till today to get that thing back. And he's babysitting. I know he has a young child, so he's juggling that plus making phone calls and all the things he has to do to try to help out our town residents. That's just his work ethic. So
Good.
picked a good one.
Super.
It's
And
nice
Mike-
to have a good group like that.
Yeah.
We're lucky.
Then we have the other, you have the stats you wanted there. They are what they are. I can't change them.
Yeah, no, we're working with them.
Okay.
We've got a scenario pretty
Okay.
much planned. And Mike has indicated that he is willing to put some more severe time in. So that'll help with the whole situation down there. We're not going to hire any extra officers on there, but visible presence down in that southern tier.
Literally, you could park in the Green Mountain Plaza with your lights going
Yep.
from when they open to when they close. As soon as we leave, it starts.
Yep.
That's literally, I could give you they're telling the names of some of the people who are stealing their initials, TS. I'm like, who is TS? And then they call my, oh yeah, that's what it is. So. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dix is getting hammered. Haven't heard a whole lot from Hannaford's, but I know Dix they get it quite a bit. That's all I have.
Any questions for the chief? Thanks, Ed.
Speaker, I'll get on that this week. We'll set up, make sure it's gonna work. Before you.
Always a good plan.
Yeah.
Just text me or call Pat, okay?
Okay.
I can be up with my motorcycle. You can test it with that.
You
Thanks,
can't
Mike.
turn the motor on.
Thank you. You
Thanks.
want to sing happy birthday to me before I leave?
Yes, we do.
Oh,
Oh, my God. 25, 24?
38 today.
Oh, my.
Oh, nice. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Mike Delahan.
happy John Paul. Oh, he
JP.
got off on that one.
No, he's there.
Oh, you're
John
there.
Paul, do you realize it's your son-in-law's birthday?
Yes, I did.
Good boy. Dell says you didn't get him anything though.
Well, he's not talking, so maybe it's a surprise. Okay. And speaking of John Paul Faignant, he is up next as our town health officer, public safety building clerk, and second constable. Evening,
So,
JP.
hi, good evening. The second constable stuff, I guess we'll put towards the committee meeting on Monday. As far as health officer, I'm monitoring some bed bug complaints in town down at on Cove River Road there, the project there. It probably is going to be limited to 1 or 2 units, but the management's all over that. They're working with that. I did receive a couple of complaints from Cortina Inn, which I was able to handle by phone. One was a plugged toilet, but otherwise, that's all that's going on there. With regard to the building, you can see from the bills, we're percolating along on getting our information together to be able to put together requests for bids. There's some investigating work going on right now in terms of doing some soil supplementation towards the southeast portion of the property, but that was expected because they have confirmed that there is a large area of construction type fill, concrete blocks, asphalt, that kind of thing. But other than that, that would be my report.
Any questions for JP? Anyone? Good. Thanks, JP.
Great, thank you.
Our next report will be from our town administrator, Bill Sweet, back from vacation and smiling, happy, a little bit tanned up and
Have a new phone.
go.
Oh, wait. Oh, I think that's Ed's. All right. Let's see. Yes, I'm back and we got a few things to go over. Not too terribly bad.
Good.
So we'll start with the things on the desk. That'll be the most of it. We received a land use permit request for 654 US Route 4 East. It's what used to be the Rockwell Museum. They're doing some work up there. And this is land use permit. There is a comment period open right now through August 29th.
This looks like all they're requesting is to replace their on-site wastewater system with a municipal hookup to the Alpine sewer pipeline.
Yeah.
So I think this is a minor permit.
Yeah,
And so-
I don't think it really affects us, but
No.
I want to make sure to get that to you.
Thank you.
There are also included in there pictures from West Elburn Avenue.
Oh, yeah.
We had
Good.
talked with the resident at the last meeting.
Mhm.
See, they sent over some pictures and he did. So there are pictures for your
And
review.
the post office thing too.
So the post office thing, I will make one. I heard him say that. And so a couple things I noticed on that. It was a Sunday
Oh,
and they don't usually do that. Every time I have a package, and that's usually Amazon, that's scheduled for delivery on a Sunday, miraculously, the post office cannot access my driveway on a Sunday. It's the most incredible thing.
They
Every
can't,
time.
they can't access it because they aren't in the Jeep.
'Cause they
to
aren't
go
there.
Access it.
So I don't know if that would be any damning evidence for parking problems,
gotcha.
Uh,
Thanks.
but it's unlikely that was due to a parking issue. So it's possible, but
Not probable.
not probable. We did receive, I have the tractor supply one on there, but that's on the agenda under, old business. You got the PD report from Lynn. She put together the statistics. There's a chart there for you showing year over year call volume for the south end of town and its increase. She said she gave that to me today, and she said that's an extensive amount of work to do that. So she hopes that's sufficient because it's about as much as she can do with it. So there's a lot of information there.
Yeah, I'm putting it in my desk.
You have the invoice that Dave was talking about, the GMP invoice is on your desk also. And along with that is the email chain. It does detail Green Mountain Power's plan for what they're doing with the lines that are, it's on the middle page, starts in the middle page. It details what they're doing. I saw this and I sent it to Robert Clark. I said, wouldn't this be just part of the construction? And I'm not sure why we were given this invoice. So fortunately, we'll all be together tomorrow morning and we can maybe figure it out then. Let's see.
I'm not sure we were actually given that invoice. I think Ron sent it out. Ron got it.
Yeah.
Just carpet bombed everybody with it, so everybody knew what was going on.
When you got it and I got it, we were the only two it was addressed to.
That, because he asked me if I saw the
Okay.
email. I was standing there with him and he said,
Okay.
I said, no, I hadn't seen it. And he said, okay,
Perfect.
I'll forward it to you.
That's fine. So there was no request made in the email. It was just forwarded to us. So I said, before we do anything, we're just gonna hang on to this for a second.
Yeah, I'm not going to be there tomorrow, but it occurs to me that this is probably not something we can solve tomorrow, that we should be looking at the contract and following the lead of Robert Clark, who's our engineer on
So
this.
my question, I did pose that question to Robert
Yeah.
Clark. I said, does the contract address this?
Yeah.
And if so, can you lead me to where? And he said he just hadn't got back to his office in time
Okay.
to look into it yet. So
Right.
I imagine
So-
we'll probably know tomorrow morning, but that's, that's there. We got a reply to our grant application for JP sidewalk. And it second sentence begins with unfortunately. They had $10.6 million in requests and not nearly enough money. So I did ask, he said, if you have any questions or would like some follow up on your application, please contact me. And I contacted him. He's on vacation. So I will wait till he gets back to see if there's any feedback we can get on it. But we have the scoping study, so we can continue to use that down the road to apply for next year. Or if it comes, if something happens, if it comes another round, we can try it again, but
Okay.
not this time. So sorry, JP, I don't know if he's still on or not. Nope. Let's see. So the last two things that I had on your desk are both for old business items. So one is the Tractor Supply sewer allocation application. They did get us a check.
Oh, right. That's what we were waiting
That's what
for.
we're waiting for.
Okay.
So we have the application. It is complete and we have a check for payment.
Okay. I would move that we approve the Tractor Supply request for sewer allocation.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded by Kurt, to approve the Tractor Supply allocation. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Joe?
Aye. I think I have the same time as the rest of you.
No.
So a question on this, and it's fine that we've approved it. This is a sewer allocation.
Yep.
Is it based upon the water meter?
For those properties, there are several commercial properties that have that actually, I think there are properties that have sewer
Okay,
meters. on
because
there.
I noticed that they're going to be having a garden center and watering plants, so
Yep.
that wouldn't go into
So
the sewer.
that's already in place. The garden
Okay.
center is already built. So the usage was based off of the city bills.
Okay.
So they have their own, that's where the rates come from. So we don't go reading meters or checking meters.
Okay.
So we leave it up to them.
This is
So
the cities. yeah.
it's the
Gotcha.
cities. So when we've had some questions in the past about why I'm being charged for this, I didn't use that much. I said, my first question is, did you pay your bill to Rutland City?
Mhm.
Like, well, yes. Well, that's your bill. Like, this is just a result of that. So yeah. And the last thing on your desk is the copy of the personnel policy. There still is, I printed it.
Well, are there any opposed to that motion?
Oh, sorry.
Hearing none,
Passes.
then that's approved.
All set. Yep.
Yep.
That's all, that's all you need to do. So the personnel policy I printed in landscape to make the print a little bigger. The comment section on the right, if the comment is very light, that's resolved. That's something we all agreed on. It's been incorporated. If it's not grayed out and you can read it clearly and it says for discussion underneath it, those were all things you said you wanted to discuss further.
Okay, when we get to it,
And that's,
we do that.
besides that, that's everything that I have.
Good. Any questions for Bill?
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Come back. And thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay, committee meeting updates. Any committee reports? Because I don't have any in front of me, so.
Yeah, townwide celebration, we've just been connecting with folks and making sure everything is as you heard tonight. And when I thanked your Aunt Irene for the caterpillars, she looked very, very puzzled. Apparently they don't call it that, but
Oh,
that's okay.
yeah.
It's coming.
I don't know. There's way too many different names for it.
Oh, I bet. So things are coming together.
This is not a bug.
Yeah, I call it a centipede. I don't know if they call it the centipede, but
Oh, so it wasn't even
it's a wagon
caterpillar.
train.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of different names. I don't know. It's the little carts that I'll pin together.
They used to have those at Brandon Training School.
Yeah.
Bring the kids around.
Any other committee reports? Dave?
Not really a committee report, but you asked me several weeks ago about joining the TAT committee. And I guess I will do it.
Thank you.
Before he says another word, we will
Thank you, Dave.
approve-
I
we
move
will
we
approve
approve.
Dave as
I move we
on the TAC committee.
appoint our road commissioner as the TAC representative.
Motion's made.
Strong second,
Strong
Strong.
second is made. There's a
strong
third.
third.
I'll third it.
There's a fourth, and Joe DiNardo will be the fifth, so you've been unanimously appointed.
You don't get out of it, is what they were saying.
Got it.
Yeah. Now you'll have a
Ever
great
and
time.
Ever and ever.
You'll have a great time down there. Thank you, Dave. Okay, the only other committee report that I have is what Ed talked about. We had a dispatch meeting in here. This was kind of a county. Well, it was kind of a countywide pre-organizational meeting since nobody had really met. We've been talking together about this and Ed has been doing most of the work. And Butch Shaw was here and Bob Schlachter was here and Terry Williams was here from Poultney and Dave Fox and his deputy sheriff. And he agreed to do the grant work. But basically, we heard from Butch Shaw and Brian Collmore from the Senate side that this thing has basically been held up because there's a statewide committee that Bob Schlachter's on that's been given more power than we thought they had. And they have to make the determination as to how the funds are going to be spent. And they also have to make the recommendation to the powers to be in the legislature as to what the permanent funding is going to be. So we can suggest that it be the county tax, but that's not going to be up to us because the legislature has taken that upon themselves to decide. And the governor has said that he doesn't want taxes, property taxes, to be used as the funding source. So I don't know whether you would call the indirect payment that we make through property taxes of the county tax, which is assessed. So anyways, this thing has taken a life of its own on, and my recommendation to Ed was, well, we're just going to back off and let the powers to be, because they have until December to do this. And there was a lot of frustration expressed about this grant application being required by a certain date, and the legislative group didn't even know what the deadline was, and they haven't approved the funds yet up there. So for this grant. So basically it's confusing. And whether they're going to meet the deadline, I don't know, but
Dog and pony show.
But they can't pull the plug on dispatch, and the state is doing it now. The state police are doing it now, but they can't pull the plug on that until something is in place. So that's just irresponsible, and it would be a disaster. So
Is there someone from that committee who's going to be in touch with the legislative study committee? So they know that we're poised to do something?
Yes, Bob Slachter is
Okay,
our
he's-
representative in the
okay.
county, and of course Dave Fox is from
Good.
from the law enforcement or from, from the sheriff's side. So we actually have, and then of course we've got,
Your drawer?
pardon me?
I was just talking to.
And so, yeah,
Okay.
we'll be informed. And Bob Schlachter knows what we want, and
He's good. He'll be fine.
he's slow, but he's good. He just a lot slower than we'd like, but that's beside the point. He's playing that game. He's one of a number on the committee. So there you go. Larry, what's your schedule here?
They're down there waiting for you.
Oh my God. There's a emergency meeting that is required right now. We're going to have to take a recess because we've got to go out the back door and down the back.
Are we gonna go look at the fire truck?
Yes, this is.
All right, I move we recess so we can go look at the new fire
There
truck.
you
Second.
go. See,
Second, third, aye, whatever.
no. Okay. And no more committee meeting updates. Hear any? So let's take a look at old business. And we've got in front of us the personnel policy. I really would like to put this to bed sometime this century. Whew. So let's go through this. And on page 2, we've got these hours of service. So
I
Mary,
think we
you,
agreed at the last meeting that town employees work a 40-hour work week, right?
that's correct.
Okay. So
Hourly.
maybe that's what we should say. And not try and say hours of service or how much time is allowed for lunch. And I'm just saying, let's just get away from,
Defining it.
yeah, or say, putting this weird 8 to 4:30, 1 hour
Right.
for lunch, and it doesn't add up. So,
Right.
um,
So if we say 40 hours a week, it's 40 hours a week.
Well, but that with,
And then-
with 1 hour allowed for lunch,
Well, that's
is
standard.
that out of the 40?
here's the problem. If you start at 8:30 and you go to 4:30 and you take an hour, that adds up to 37 and a half hours a
That's
week.
correct.
Right.
And is the office closes at 2 on Friday, so you take 2.5 hours off of that. So now you're down to, we're still doing that.
Well, that's not an
and- well, I
hourly
just-
job though.
Right.
That's a
So what I'm just
salaried-
saying, that brings that down to a different number of hours. So if we paid for lunch, you'd be doing 40 hours. And then for a while, the office was open later on Tuesdays because of board meetings, and I don't know if Kari still does that or if they close at 4:30 on Tuesdays. So,
Well, she was
If you
open
do-
tonight when I was,
She was open tonight because Mike Rowe was in doing something, getting a check.
right,
So,
so
yeah,
that
she's
adds
there on
another hour
Tuesday.
back. So I just think if you just, what the actual hours are, it's going to be difficult to nail this down because we deviate from the 4:30 or the 8 to 4:30 hours
Okay.
because, so if we do what Mary said, you just say they work 40 hours a week and leave it at that. And yeah, it's there, but I don't know, unless you want to start getting really picky about it, because I thought, well, I don't know. I thought that Kari set her hours for that office, but
she does.
I don't know. Yeah, so it's hard to have this discussion without her 2 cents in there.
Well,
And
yeah, but
it'll be the same with the road crew.
No, we have to make a distinction between hourly employees and salaried employees though, because that's why she sets her own hours, Joe, because she's a salaried employee. As a matter of fact, she asked me at election time how we would handle the extra hours that she put in. And I said, well,
Your salary.
you can, you're salaried, so if you need to put these extra hours in, then you simply put them in to get the job done. But if you have times where you don't have to put the hours in, you can call it comp time or you can call it whatever you want. But if you want to take 2 or 3 hours off because you put 2 or 3 hours extra in, that's your choice. You're a salaried employee and you're elected to do the clerk's job. As long as the clerk's job is getting done, basically, it's up to you.
Okay, so I have a suggestion. We just take out that first sentence and we say full-time employees of the town of Rutland shall work 40 hours per week.
That sounds good to me.
Yep.
Okay, I'm good.
I'm gonna write it in right now. Full-time wage employees. Can we put that in there so that we're distinguishing?
There's something.
Because somebody will
I'm
say she's
not
a full-time
sure.
employee
Well,
and
I'm not sure. She's in a little different category. So,
she's salaried.
is she?
Yeah. She's paid X amount of dollars for clerk and she's paid the same amount of money for treasurer, and those two add up to her total pay, and that's a salary.
Right, she is salaried. Therefore, if she has to work over, she has to work over. She's still on the
Well,
same
if we
page.
say full-time employees of the town of Rutland shall work 40 hours a week, she's a full-time employee of the town of Rutland.
That means she has to work 40 hours a week, which she doesn't. We can't tell her how many hours she has to work.
I understand that, but she probably works more, frankly.
Oh, I know.
She does.
I know.
So I don't think it's.
I don't
Chief
want,
Dumas was gonna say something. I was curious to.
There's many times that the officers, I mean, they don't eat lunch a lot of times.
Yeah.
I mean, and if something happens, they just work until it's done. Oh,
Right.
let's stop this here, we'll go do it tomorrow if there's.
Yeah.
I mean, you have somebody under arrest, you're not gonna say, take a seat, we'll see you in the
So I
morning.
would- And the next line there, it talks about the road crew. I would take out any reference to lunch. Okay, just said regular hours for the road crew shall be as determined by the road commissioner and the select board,
Right.
period.
Yeah.
And I
sounds
agree with
good.
you, Mary.
I like that.
Yeah,
And then if you notice the next line, which addresses Dawn's concern a bit, when circumstances and conditions warrant, department heads may adjust work hours and days. Exempt, non-exempt, and elected officials are required to work the necessary hours to complete their duties.
that essentially
That's kind
talks
of
about
hers.
salary, yeah.
Yeah.
And elected.
So I think we just
There you
leave that.
Okay, so full-time employees.
Are we done with that?
Okay, and so, right, we're done with that one and that one. So those are all taken care of.
Page.
And we're going to page 4.
I think the issue on this was whether we say without select board approval. Do we just say use of town equipment or property for personal use is strictly prohibited, period?
period.
And take out the without select board approval, because the comments said we were kind of hinting that we could approve.
Well, you know what, Mary, we could it in certain circumstances, I suppose, but I don't think you'd have to put it in here.
But that's
I
for
think it's
personal use.
dangerous to lend out,
I agree.
you know.
Yeah.
I just think we just leave it. You can't do it.
And take out without select board approval.
Right, yeah.
Right.
What do you think, Kurt?
Yeah. I'd be okay
Yep.
with that.
Joey?
That sounds good. Yep, that's good. I like that.
Geez, I don't even need to be chairman anymore.
Well,
You
Kick back,
trained
relax.
us well, Don. We know how to do this.
What's that, Joe?
I said you've trained us well, so we can work on our own.
That's right. Good thinking, Joe.
Hey, listen, if it gets the job done, Joe,
okay.
I'm all in favor of it.
Okay, I think then On page
So we're gonna take out
6,
with select board approval, and then we're gonna, that takes care of that one.
Yep.
One, we go all the way to page 6, and this
I
is
think we just
eligibility for
fixed-
benefits.
that comment.
I lost it.
What did we,
So the comment said, I'm presuming you're using 40 hours, which we are now.
We are.
okay,
Yes.
so that's done.
So, and
Yep.
the proration language reflects the number of hours of work hours as a percentage of 40 hours per week. So
That's right.
That's good.
So that's done
That's done.
automatically.
Yes.
Yep.
Moving on.
Perfect.
I like it.
Moving right along,
Oh,
vacation,
Where are you? What page?
page 7.
Yep.
You may want to have employees sign an agreement that they take advance vacation authorization payment. I don't know why the language that we have in there doesn't take
would-
care of that.
you know, I was just kind of thinking the same. I wouldn't have them sign an agreement. Their supervisor would probably say, you know, you're taking 5 vacation days, you've only got 3 accumulated. You're gonna owe us 2.
No, I think,
But there doesn't
Well,
needs to be in writing. So do we just say it's fine as is?
I think so.
Yep, I do too.
All right, so we're gonna leave it.
Yep.
Joe, are you okay
Yep.
with that?
I am.
All right, moving right along to page 8. Next page, policy is in,
Ugh,
is
this I just don't know.
compliant with Vermont.
Where are you, Don?
I don't, what,
Page 8, Joe, sick leave.
Oh,
The
okay, that's
comment says-
I have the old copy, it's page 7.
Oh, yeah, because we're
But
sideways.
anyway,
what's that?
we talked about the
Page
sick
numbers are
leave,
different.
the sick leave. And
Yes.
I think we mentioned this last time that we are actually paying, or we are allocating sick leave at a higher rate than what she was suggesting.
Mhm.
We're actually doing it at double that rate. So why would we change it?
I don't know why we would. I mean, I was happy
I
with the
wouldn't
way it
change
was
it
written.
because I believe the law says 1 hour for every 52 hours worked, and that's what you would get. So based on what I did it quick in my head was if you work 50 weeks a year at 40 hours a week, it's 2,000 hours. And if you get 1 sick day for every 50 hours, it just comes out as 40 hours. That's a week. And we are giving people 10 days, which is 2 weeks. So we don't need to change anything, just leave it.
No,
So
I think so too.
I'm tending to agree with you. My question is, what do we do with part-time employees? Do we prorate their sick days?
They don't get sick
If
days.
they don't get sick days if they don't get benefits, right? They're eligible like for insurance, but I don't know about vacation. You know, we haven't talked
No,
about part-time
well,
people
They
getting
don't get any of
vacation.
that.
They don't get any of that, Joey.
No.
So
they
then
get
we
none of
don't
it.
have to worry.
If you,
Yeah,
no, if you look
That's
at page 6, back to page 6, we have said part-time employees who are regularly scheduled to work at least 30 hours a week are eligible to receive the above benefits on a prorated basis. And the above benefits don't include, it's actually the benefits below.
Where's he running to?
Well, that's an error because we've been told by our administrator that you must work 32 hours a week in order to be considered for benefits.
Oh, he's pulling
Now-
something out.
was considered full-time.
Full-time.
Bill?
Yep.
Can we resolve this?
Yep.
What,
I got, so
Okay.
I've got the guidance for the Vermont sick leave law. So it talks about, does this apply to all workers? No, it applies to workers who meet the definition of eligible employee. That includes, so this is the Vermont paid sick leave law defines an eligible employee as someone over the age of 18, works an average of 18 or more hours per week during the year, and is expected to work more than 20 weeks in a 12-month period.
So that excludes the lifeguards, for example. But,
Right.
but it would include, for instance, a 20 or a 22-hour lister.
If they work an average of 18 hours a week during
Right.
the year, yes, it
Right.
does.
Well, that's what it's, but that's never been applied to my wife.
Well, then we have
Well,
to
if it
start
wasn't-
now.
Because it wasn't written in the policy, but this law went into effect January 2018.
Okay.
So we're correcting
Catching
Now.
up with,
in the policy. So if it's easier, if you want to word that
oh, it's.
to say like sick time is paid to eligible employees and then defined eligible employee, and just we can include the state's definition.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I don't have any objection to it, but what, is it done then on a pro rata basis? Is that what the,
I think, although
Would have to
Bill's,
be.
I think so, but
Yeah.
What do you mean by a prorated basis? I can see
well,
it says anything
if
about it.
they,
Do they get-
you got the state eligibility at 18 hours.
Yeah.
And at least how many weeks, 20,
18 hours per week for 20 hours per year.
20 weeks
Yeah, they have to work at least 18 hours a week
for 20 weeks.
and more than 20 weeks in a
A year.
12-month period.
Okay, so if they do, and they qualify under that,
Right.
then are their benefits going to, how are they,
This
they're
is-
not going to get the full.
This is sick leave. This is purely sick time. This doesn't
Yeah.
apply to anything. This doesn't reference anything other than the
Sick time.
sick time.
Okay, here's what we could do. And we're
So they
really
would get-
kicking the can down the
Yeah.
road, but we could say part-time employees will be entitled to sick day according to state statute.
There you
That
are.
would be the
Which means-
quickest,
which
easiest,
means-
simplest
yeah,
way to do it.
Yep. And what that means is they get 1 hour for every 52 hours they work. If you go by the state statute, what it says.
That's how
That-
they prorate it, essentially.
Yeah,
So because they're working less hours, they will get less
Less
sick leave,
time.
but we're paying, just keep in mind though, we're paying sick leave out to 40-hour people at double the state rate. So if you prorate it,
Yes.
they're gonna earn hours, faster, but you're gonna work less hours, so you're gonna get less time.
Right.
So what is it, Joe? It's 50 hours?
It
1 hour
says in
for-
here that you get 1 hour for every 52 hours you work. So we pay 1 hour basically for every 25 or 26 hours you work. So it's double. So if you're working less hours, if you're working the 18 hours a week, but you work 50 weeks a year, you're going to earn your sick leave is going to be at a higher rate. It's like every 25 hours you earn an hour. But it'll be the same whether you work 20 hours or 30 hours or 40 hours. It's based on that 25 versus the 50 that the state says.
Right.
And it won't change. So it's basically automatically prorated. We've never broken it down by the hour. We've just said, okay, you come to work for the town, we give you 10 days. But if you break it down, it's roughly 1 hour of sick time for every 25 hours you work. Based on a
So
40-hour week and
25.
50 weeks a year.
So it's 25, not 52.
No. We're not going by the
So-
state. Yes.
Okay.
so here's what I suggest. At the beginning of that clause where it says employees will receive, we put full-time employees will receive.
Where are we now on page, which
We're on
one?
page 8,
22.
section 22.
All right, so I'm still back on 6 here.
Okay,
So, oops, page 8.
Mhm.
Yep. What page is it, Mary?
Well,
Page
it's 8 the way it's printed out for me.
7. or
All right,
9.
page 8.
Okay,
And everything.
down to sick leave.
Employees will see.
Okay. In front of employees, put full-time.
Yep. Got it.
And then at the end of that first paragraph, put part-time employees will earn sick leave according to state statute.
So they'll earn sick leave at a lesser rate than full-time employees.
Yeah,
Yeah, which is fine.
actually, I think that sentence should be up right after the full-time employee sentence. And then it goes on to say an employee may use sick leave for, and then all of the reasons below.
Okay, so. So according to state statute, that would go back to 52, wouldn't it?
No,
Yeah.
25.
No, it's
Yeah,
1
so
hour.
that-
for
it's at a lesser rate, Don.
What's that?
Is that a lesser?
It'll be at a
lesser
lesser
rate.
rate.
Which is fine. They're not full-time employees, so they wouldn't accrue it at the same as a
Right.
full-time employee.
That would be at
You know,
25.
Part-time employee, part-time benefits, essentially.
The fact that you're giving sick leave at all to a part-time employee is pretty good.
Yeah,
That's my thought, yeah.
Okay.
and then the 3 sentences added are fine with me.
Because I had over, when we were talking about it, you had sick time is 1 hour for each 52, but then you changed that. You said it was 1 hour
For
for each
part-time,
25.
For part-time.
That's what we're paying.
So what you're saying is that you're going to give 1 hour for each 25 to full-time employees. But for part-time employees, you're going to give 1 hour for 52, or no, actually,
The opposite.
according to state.
It would be according to state. If the state.
Must earn at least 1 hour of leave for every 52 hours worked.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they'll be getting essentially half the sick leave, which is fine because they're working less hours.
That's right.
Which means
Half. Well, yeah, they're working half the hour.
half the hours, so about
Okay.
the same amount of days.
I get it. I get it now. I see. I
Okay.
see what you're talking about.
But if you figured it, if you figured it at the 25 hours and they're working half the time, they would earn the sick leave at half as much. So
Slower
technically,
rate.
they're going to earn a quarter of what because they're getting less time and they're having to work more hours to get the same amount of time.
Yeah.
It gets really complicated, but I don't know if there's any other employers pay part-time, offer sick leave to part-time people. They may. I mean, the statute says they're supposed to.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we're progressive, so we should do it.
Don, did I
I mean-
just hear you
I mean-
refer to us as progressive? Oh, excellent.
We're
Would you
progressive.
date that?
That's like leaning to
Would
the
you
left.
date-
Okay, it's on the tape right here. This is part of a public meeting, so I publicly. You got me. I
Oh,
mean,
boy.
that's it.
Okay, next one is page 11. I thought we had dealt with
This is
that.
part of diversity. You understand that, don't you?
Okay, let's get this over with.
Well, we're rapidly doing
Okay.
that. Okay, so this is all taken care of. Page 8, cross that out, and that's done.
Yeah.
We're on page
9
11.
is not, 10 is not,
Oh, jeez.
11 is something over
Employee
here.
supervisor or their designee. I thought we had agreed that we would just put there. Yeah,
What's
Don was
this?
Yeah.
outvoted.
What?
You were outvoted on this.
On what? The binary?
Yes.
So binary. I want tertiary and quaternary too in
Well,
there.
when we hit that later on, we can deal
I
with
mean,
that.
good God, why limit it to just 2, 3, 4, 5 genders? What the heck? I've outvoted,
moving
that's done.
Okay.
Moving on.
Yeah, no.
12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 15. I think we're done.
There was those few
Well,
comments at the very, oh, yeah. Okay.
I'm out. And what, we're 15, we're at the end, where are we? There.
Yeah.
Okay, what's this, updated model? Oh, this is the controversial
So
one.
she had said they were working on the model.
Oh, yeah.
It just came out.
Okay.
This is so fresh that the ink is not even dry on it.
Okay. So what does it say?
There's 2 separate pages. One's for employees, one's for elected officials.
Oh, good. They did a separate one for elected
Yeah,
officials.
yeah.
Okay, personnel acknowledgement. I have received a copy of the town's personnel policy on such and such a date, and it is my responsibility to familiarize myself with its contents. B, I understand that it's my responsibility to ask questions if there is anything in the policy that I do not understand. C, I understand that the language used in this personnel policy is not intended to create, nor should it be construed to create, a contract or agreement for employment between myself and the town. And D, I understand that this policy replaces any and all prior versions and that the town reserves the right to add, amend, or discontinue any of the provisions of this policy for any reason or none at all, in whole or in part, at any time, with or without notice.
Great.
And
Why
that's
don't
the
we use
employee's
that?
signature.
Mhm.
And that's fine with me. And then this addendum B is agreement by independently elected officer to be bound by personnel policy. This is an agreement between the town of whatever and the town official collectively referred to as parties in exchange for the provision of benefits by the town as follows. You list the benefits. Town official agrees to be bound by the provisions of the Town of Rutland personnel policy, except the provisions on a probationary period, performance evaluations, employee discipline, and employee termination. So those do not apply.
Those do not apply.
Town official has received a copy of the town's personnel policy and understands that it is that individual's responsibility to familiarize themselves with its contents. Town official has been given an opportunity to ask questions about said policy and has been provided with satisfactory information in response to those questions. Town official acknowledges that as per section 1 of the town's personnel policy, the select board reserves the right to amend any of the provisions of the personnel policy for any reason at any time, with or without notice. And the town official acknowledges that they understand the town's personnel policy and agrees to comply with all of its provisions except those listed above. Which again are the provisions of a probationary period don't apply, the provisions of performance evaluations don't apply, and the provisions of employee discipline and or termination do not apply to elected officials. The parties agree that this shall not constitute a contract for employment. Well, yeah,
Okay, well,
unless
after
it's by
putting it in,
the,
that's fine.
unless it's by the voters. If any term of this agreement, the provisions of the personnel policy to which it incorporates by reference or the application hereof of either to any person or circumstance is held invalid, this invalidity does not affect other provisions or applications of the agreement's terms, which can be given effect without the invalid terms or applications.
That's pretty
Well,
standard.
that's standard
boilerplate.
language for a contract anyway. Voiding of one part doesn't void the rest of it. For this purpose, the agreement is severable. If applicable, insert the following. In addition to the above, town official agrees that all personnel appointed or hired by them shall be subject to the town's personnel policy, except the provisions governing performance evaluations, discipline, or termination.
That's if you hired a secretary
Yeah,
for your select board business.
right. And that's it, entered into this day of whatever.
So it sounds like all we have to do, there's a little space at the very top where it says in exchange for, or something like that. Certain benefits the official gets.
Yes, in exchange for the provision of benefits by the town as follows. And then you have to list those benefits. Well,
It's
that would be
Salary.
salary remuneration, I guess. That would be the only thing,
mileage. If we
mileage,
ever get it.
telephone. We added
Oh, we
that.
do the phone thing, or some of us do.
So
So I'd
can
add
we
those.
lump those, can we lump it in, salary and benefits?
Well, then it makes it sound like we're entitled to sick days and all of that. So I wouldn't do that, but I think you're right. Listing the three that you just did, the salary, the mileage,
Right.
and the phone reimbursement.
Now, Bill, do we incorporate these 2 pages as part of the document?
that'd be my suggestion.
I think we should.
Yeah, I do too.
Our pages and
Ugh.
adopt their pages. I mean, it's far easier.
Yeah.
You add the language for the benefits and.
Okay, let's add this. So, in exchange for the provision of benefits by the town as follows.
Salary,
One, salary.
two is mileage,
Mileage and then phone.
2, wait a minute, there's salary.
three
We
is
get
phone.
salary and we also get the per hour. Is that's a different thing than the salary? Do we need to put that, or
You know, I think it's. I
not the
consider,
same thing? Because we get the salary as
Yeah.
a total amount,
and I
but
know Kari records it differently, but
hourly wages? Yeah, that's what they are.
hourly,
Hourly
salary and hourly.
Right.
Hourly payments. How's that?
salary, 2 hourly payments,
All right.
Phone.
Stipend too, is it?
3 is,
That'd be the salary, would be the stipend.
I think so.
Or would you say salary or would you say stipend?
We could say
payment?
salary / stipend.
Stipend.
Did you say compensation? Like,
Well, we could say compensation.
just,
That would cover both.
what?
Compensation.
Just put the word compensation?
I-
Yeah.
and if you vote to change it, it doesn't have to, you don't have to change the words.
See?
Like, it's-
Okay. What else do we get?
Monetary compensation? Compensation. And that includes all compensation, right? Phone, or this, whatever, hourly, stipend.
But we don't all take phone.
No, we don't, but.
No, but
it's
if you
there.
do,
Okay.
then it's covered.
Gotcha.
So I would move that we adopt the personnel policy as amended tonight and with the substitution of the 2 brand new pages from the League of Cities and Towns with Don's notes.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. After
have
long
a
and
question.
deliberative discussion.
Joey. it's got
Discussion.
something.
So,
Has it?
I
No,
just,
that's,
I wanna-
I'm in the process.
Joey's talking.
To adopt the policy with the changes made and the pages of acknowledgement at the end. Although, is there any discussion on that motion?
I just want a
No.
clarification on the distinguishing between hired personnel and elected personnel. So I know that the hired personnel, they get the vacation time, the holidays, the sick leave, and all of that, and we pay them. Does that all, these 2 new pages, now, does all of those benefits apply to our elected officials the same way? Because I didn't hear that, but I might have missed it. So that would mean that Kari is entitled to the sick days that she earns. She earns 10, and she would get her vacation time, and she would get the paid holidays. Is that the way that is worded? Because that was a little confusing, the part
Yeah, you're right,
segregating. Because I didn't hear any of that in there, and in the past, all of our elected officials have gotten the exact same benefits as our hired personnel. So I want to make sure it's clear that that's the way it's going to be going forward, and that they get the same benefits.
Yeah, no, good point. I don't understand that the elected officials have gotten exactly the same benefits as our employees. I don't think we have.
Well,
or are you just referring to Karen?
Mary?
Yeah.
Byron was the road commissioner, was an elected official up until Dave, and Byron got exactly the same benefits that Walt and Jason got. And so I want to make sure, and I do believe, and I think I'm right at this, Kari gets those same benefits, and we want to make sure that that's the way it goes, because
yes, okay.
Everybody's gotten used to that, and that's the way it should be. You know, just because the voters put her in there, she's still entitled to what we give everybody else.
I agree.
Okay, but Joe, you gotta I don't think people understand, though I've explained this 14 different ways a Sunday, but you don't seem to understand it. Whether we put it in here that she's getting those benefits, she already gets those benefits, because if you're salaried and you get sick, you don't come into work, but you get paid for that day anyway, because you're a salaried employee. And if you're a salaried employee and you want to take
that isn't the question. That new language from the League of Cities and Towns distinguishes between hired help and elected help. And I want to make sure that the elected help is treated the same way as the hired help. And we always have in the past. And we've just got to make sure that
I'm trying to think of something we can put in that elected one that says something about the town clerk shall receive benefits as a full-time salaried employee.
Yeah, it should be where you were distinguished. We're seeing that they get salary and they get the stipend and all that. That's part of that's part of what they get for their service. So it has to be there that they're entitled to
No, I'll tell you why that doesn't apply, Joe. I'm going to give you the best logic that I can as to why that doesn't apply. You want it to apply in order to be fair to them. I want it not to apply so that it is fair to them, because if she got sick for more days than she was entitled to under this policy, she would still be able to take those days and get paid for it as an elected official. Because she's a salaried employee as an elected official, we don't want to limit her.
Then so we've been doing it wrong. So we've been doing it wrong, Don. Well, then in the past, we've been doing it wrong.
Well, I think you have. I really do. I mean, and the reason is because just like
that language just came out.
What happens if you're absent, Joe? Do we prorate your stipend and take some money off because or do you get sick days? Do I get sick days? No, we don't. We're elected officials. We're governed.
We don't work the hours though. We're not expected to work 40 hours a week. Because if I was working 40 hours a week for the town as a select board member, that's a whole different
apply to the elected officials. You see, Joe, that's another thing that doesn't apply. And you're saying that because maybe we got to change this, Mary, this part that says that basically elected officials are governed by all provisions of this policy except probationary period, performance evaluations, employee addition, and employee termination. No, we're not governed by the sick leave. We're not governed by.
But
we're not full-time employees.
We're not governed by the hours.
No, but you still have an expectation that your clerk and treasurer is going to show up for so many hours a week.
Right.
Because
if our clerk and treasurer work 20 hours a week, we would not be happy campers.
Well, that's the thing. Is same thing. Say we still had a road commissioner. Our road commissioner showed up for 8 hours a week and collected his salary.
I know, but those those things, those
So
actually.
somewhere in there, it's got to reflect in there that for salaried employees or elected employees that are getting paid, they're expected to work a certain number of hours a week, which we have said is 40 hours for employees. And we didn't distinguish through that whole policy elected personnel and hired personnel. We didn't distinguish. And in the past, we have never treated them differently.
Yeah, I know, but in the past, I've also said that this policy should not apply to elected officials for the very exemptions that are at the end.
So Mary, how does an elected official earn vacation time?
Well, I think what we do is figure out, we put in there in one or the other of those things at the end that the town clerk is not subject to the disciplinary and all of that stuff. However, for the purposes of benefits, she will be treated as a full-time employee.
And it would be, and also right now our lister, Howard is technically pretty much a full-time employee, so he is elected, but I do believe he is governed by the same sick leave schedule and the same vacation schedule and all of the rest of that. And I don't know if he gets a hourly rate or if Howard's getting a yearly rate or, salary rate. So
Hourly rate.
okay, so now we have an elected official that's getting paid hourly and governed by the same rules. So really, I think you just need to, I like the idea that elected officials will be paid benefits in accordance with the personnel policy and leave it at that. And that's what they would get. So they earn that.
Right. I agree. Right.
But then that extends
You have to treat people,
So I think then
and
we put in the exemption that does not include the select board.
except the select board
Yeah.
members.
Right.
I don't. Do we need that?
What about the planning commission?
I like
The
the first page.
planning commission are appointed by
That
us.
was a very nice page, very well written.
Right,
This-
good
this
point,
elected
Joey.
Thing is
Well,
complicated.
wait, what did you say, Joe? I missed
The
that.
planning commission.
See, they're appointed by us.
Right. So what?
So you have to tie
You're
the
giving them a
benefit
stipend.
to the amount of time that elected officials work. And if you're putting in the hours that Howard, and right now we have just the two, Howard and Kari, are two elected officials that are working basically full time. And so we need to have language that protects them. And if Kari, I understand she's salaried, but and the sick leave is the only thing that's kind of a gray area, because like Howard, like Don said, if she's sick and she can't come into work, she's still going to get paid. I understand that, but I don't know how you address that particular part of it.
Well, you don't, because, like I said, because the only people that have supervisory authority over the town clerk and the lister are the voters of the town of Rutland. We can suggest, and we have a good working relationship with them. So if we suggest something, they're generally going to comply with what we want them to do, but they don't necessarily have to. There's been disputes here in this building in previous years about
This
that.
might be okay. Okay, we've dealt with full-time employees. And Kari is a full-time employee, even though she's elected by the voters, she's still an
Right.
employee of the town. Howard is a full-time employee, elected, but he's still employed by the town. So I think we can just say, I think it's okay. We
Same as
list as
Dave.
our benefits, elected officials' benefits, compensation. And then it goes on to say, town official agrees to be bound by the provisions of the town of Rutland personnel policy, except for probationary period, performance evaluations, employee discipline, and employee termination. I think it's okay.
I do too.
Okay with that. I just want to make sure they're protected. And I want to make
Yeah,
sure
no,
that,
I agree.
yeah. Because we've kind of cleared up a lot of the gray area. Mary, everything was good right up until those 2 pages the League of Cities and Towns gave us that distinguish between hired help and elected help.
What, right
'Cause
now?
we never addressed it. We never addressed it before.
Well, that's
Well, we
okay
did.
that we did.
We did address
Yeah,
it, and it
good
was
for us.
controversial then, and it continues to be controversial, and they're trying to get around that.
Who's they?
The League of Cities and Towns solved the first part of the problem because some of us had long maintained when JP first did this personnel policy up, that he was overreaching because he was applying things to elected officials that just
Right.
didn't apply to elected officials.
Right.
And I said that, but
Well, I said
did-
that a lot,
you said that a
a
lot.
lot.
And so,
Kurt and I are not guilty. We just sat here and behaved.
Now, the thing
So-
is, the template JP used was from the League of Cities and Towns, and it said specifically on there for non-elected
yeah,
employees.
and he
And
just,
he crossed. it
yeah,
off.
yeah, he,
Yeah, so anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm back to, I think the motion
It's fine.
is fine.
Okay.
Just add the word compensation in there, and we're exempting elected officials from probationary period and disciplinary actions and all of that, but the rest of it applies, which means Kari and Howard as full-time employees get their benefits.
And it not to
Okay.
include the select.
right.
Well, we're not hitting, what is it, 18 hours a week?
No.
We don't work the hours.
We don't work. the
Right, you're
hours.
right, Joe.
We're
I don't know, I'm beginning to
eliminated
think
by-
we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
But
keep
like I say, if you want to push the budget up and we're all going to start working 18 hours a week for at least 20 weeks, I might give up hand.
20 weeks.
Is that a motion, Joe?
No,
Did we vote on the motion to accept those two?
No,
League of Cities
we
and
were
Towns?
in
Okay.
discussion and we continue to be in discussion until the
Alright.
discussion is over. So
I
I'm
think that
Discussion
we
is
got it.
over.
what I'm asking is the discussion over?
Yes,
As far as I'm
no
concerned.
further dis-
We can always change it in the future if we have.
That's
to.
right. It says right in there, we can change it at any time for
No
reason or
notice.
no reason at all.
Yeah.
So are you ready for the motion? Hearing no further
I do.
new discussion on the motion, all those in favor of adopting the new personnel policy as amended with the addition of the acknowledgement pages provided by VLCT as amended, signify by saying aye.
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 Are there any
Aye.
opposed? Hearing none opposed, it's unanimously adopted. And we now have a personnel policy, and the effective date of this will be,
So I will put all these changes together, include them for the next meeting, because it needs to be signed.
Okay.
So I'll put a one complete copy for the packets. So everybody can get a couple days to look it over ahead of time and then
Yep.
sign it the next meeting.
Okay.
Oh,
okay, then it will be official as of the next meeting when we sign it.
Officially official.
officially.
Okay. So there you have it.
Although actually, it probably is effective now. Just saying, because we've all voted on it.
Right.
Yeah, I think it is. I think the effective date is today. Bill,
Guess it doesn't
yeah,
really
just
matter,
put the
really.
effective date of
Put the
today
effective
because
date
we
today
have,
'cause we voted on it.
yeah, we have voted on it and,
Doesn't really much matter either way.
and,
Right.
uh,
We're not
and-
hiring
and I-
anybody between here.
Nobody's gonna take 2 weeks off before they.
yeah. And I would like to add my personal thanks to all board members for their active participation in this was a very valuable task and it took a while, but I think we have a really, really good document.
Do.
And, I think we can work with this for a long time. So thank you very much. Okay. Personnel policy, the next item on the agenda of old business is to review the status of the table application from Tractor Supply, we did that already. And that's done. Any other old business to come before the board? Anyone? Hearing none. We'll go to new business. Board to discuss the appointment of a litigation team for Cortina in negotiation. I don't know why. Oh, I guess did I tell you to put that on there, Bill? It's already done. Well, I don't know. That's just 77-year-old Don. I guess it was
Last meeting.
well, it was like a long time ago before you went on vacation.
Can I ask who is actually on the litigation
The
team?
litigation team, Kevin Brown, our town attorney suggested that no more than 2 members be on the
Right.
committee. So obviously, because we don't want to have to warn select board meetings when we meet. So, I thought that we had a pretty good team of 3 people that would be great, to enter into settlement negotiations. And, so I appointed Sharon and myself, and then not wanting to exclude Mary, I appointed Mary as the alternate for either one of us because we just don't know if we're going to end up with conflicts. And when the lawyer for the opposition has a particular date, or Kevin has a particular date that meets his schedule, I would rather we not show up with only one person because one of us has a conflict. So that's the way we're going to proceed. And the first meeting is tomorrow, and it was rather on short notice, but
Who is it with?
it's with Vielinger.
Oh, geez. You know, I had committed to my neighbor to get him to and from the hospital. Tomorrow, and you know, this short notice stuff, and I don't know whether I'm supposed to be there or not. I'm an alternate.
Because
You and Sharon are going to be there.
right, because we
Okay.
both can make it, but if either
Okay.
one of us couldn't make it, then either one of us would call you when a meeting was
Well,
scheduled and say,
If
we got a conflict, can you make the meeting?
in the
there?"
future, if you set a meeting, could you please make sure all 3 of us are available? Because I am not. So if Sharon is sick tomorrow,
Well, if, yeah. If she
okay.
I called her to make sure she was available. And as a matter of fact, she wasn't going to be available, but she had a date.
With an
screwed up.
angel. Yeah.
It was next Wednesday that she had a delivery at her house was coming. She thought it was tomorrow.
Mary, are you going to
wasn't.
listen in or is it going to be?
I can't.
Okay.
If you add a 3rd select board member.
No, we can't do
Yeah.
that.
And they would play us like crazy
Oh, yeah.
because they would get 3 votes and they'd say, okay, go sell it to the rest of the
Well,
board.
you may have
No
to,
way.
because I don't trust that man. I don't.
Trust who?
Sanchez.
Oh, no, yeah, we're okay. Kevin is going to make sure nothing weird happens.
No, it's,
So I wouldn't worry about that.
but,
Well, we don't make any decisions anyways.
No, you can't
No.
with only 2 of you there. That's the
That's right,
beauty of the
yeah.
thing. You
that's
can't.
why it's
Right.
gotta be 2. So,
Thank
I
you.
And-
do
and-
have a
and
suggestion.
the meeting is at 1:00.
I do have a suggestion, since you're going into negotiations, I do have a suggestion, and we probably should go into executive session.
Now,
Yeah.
Did you want to hear my suggestion or not?
Yes, I moved to
No.
go into executive session.
I didn't know whether you were talking about the meeting tomorrow or you're talking about now.
If you are negotiating tomorrow, I think I have a suggestion that I would like to be heard by the negotiating team before you go into it.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
that's
we've
that's
got a
fine.
second.
That's fine. Let's
Yeah, we have nothing else to talk about, so.
wait until we
No, I mean, there's nothing else on here to talk about.
Is there-
I mean,
is there any other-
Here's you for a step ladder again.
is there-
Poor
When
Kurt.
you were hanging around his neck, all you had to do was squeeze harder.
There's no,
I don't-
there's no neck to squeeze
no
on,
neck.
Don.
Okay. So.
You were
When we
generally,
go
Any other
into-
business to
okay.
come before the meeting?
Move that we go into executive
already did
session
that,
to
Mary.
second the motion for
He
pending
seconded.
litigation. Second, third.
I've got at least one motion, possibly 2, maybe
I think
3
we've
to
got
go into
3,
executive
yeah.
session.
So
That would be
we are
somebody to
going.
Second it.
It's going to be brief.
And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye, aye.
Any opposed? All right,
Second,
motion's made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 We are adjourned.
Thanks.
Good night,
Good
all.
luck, guys.